Along with the game, we'll bring you complete news, highlights, and features from the CFL. Now, for all the action, let's join our CBC Sports crew.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome to the Eastern Final. It's Hamilton at Toronto, a replay of 1983. Remember, too, Hamilton nearly won that game 1 year ago. Coming up at halftime, I'll talk live from Vancouver with Western head coaches Cal Murphy and Don Matthews. Right now, from Exhibition Stadium, let's bring in Don Whitman.
Thanks, Brian. The largest crowd of the year jammed into CNE Stadium this afternoon in anticipation of a game every bit as exciting as last year's Eastern Championship won by the Argos 41-36. Leo, as you often say, the tape is on and the band is playing. The two teams had better be ready.
Well, today, if they're going to play 5 games, I'm sure the Argonauts could win 4, but it's a one-game shot, and it's going to be the team today that makes the fewer mistakes that's going to win, Ron.
You got it, Leo. You never worry about weather. You don't worry about anything. It's a final, and final means one thing. One team goes on, and it's over for the other one. Let's tee it up.
Well, the players are about set to be introduced. Let's go down to field level now for the introduction of the defensive units of both teams, and here's Vic Router.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 1984 CFL Eastern Division Final between the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Toronto Argonauts. Introducing the starting defensive lineup for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. At left end, number 77, Grover Covington. At left tackle, number 59, Rod Skillman. At right tackle, number 61, Mike Walker. At right end, number 65, Mitchell Price. At linebacker, number 72, Leo Ezerud. Linebacker, number 31, Ben Zambiazzi. Linebacker, number 36, John Priestner. At cornerback, number 20, Mark Streeter. Quarterback, number 14, Gerald Bess. Defensive halfback, number 16, Howard Fields. Defensive halfback, number 28, Felix Wright. At safety, number 24, Paul Bennett. Head coach, Algonauts, and the rest. Number 64, David Boone. At left tackle, number 58, Earl Bubba Wilson. Right tackle, 74, Jay 78, Vince Goldsmith. Linebacker, number 70, Doug Battershill. Linebacker, number 39, William Mitchell. Linebacker, number 36, Don Moan. Cornerback, number 2, Carl Graisley. Cornerback, number 18, Lamont Meacham. Defensive halfback, number 14, Dennis Clay. Defensive halfback, number 16, Ralph Dixon. Safety, number 27, Jen Carinci. And the rest of the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, the Argonauts and the Hamilton Tiger Cats are just about set to determine this 1984 Eastern Championship. During the regular season, they split 2 games. The first one won by the Argos 30-22, and then Dieter Brock here at CNE Stadium on October 27th held the hot hand as Hamilton knocked off Toronto 25-20. The Hamilton Tiger Cats riding a 4-game winning streak.
Here. Look out. Okay.
Conrad Holloway has been designated as the starting quarterback this afternoon for the Toronto Argonauts. The Argonauts have not played particularly well during the past few weeks. 2 wins, 4 losses, and a tie in their past 7 games. However, this team had first place in the Eastern Conference wrapped up early, and many feel they will rebound this afternoon. But Ernie Afaganas, he has joined us at the Toronto Argonaut bench. Does there appear to be a lot of pressure on the Double Blue?
Yes, Don, there is an awful lot of pressure here. As you know, the Argos have not been going too strong in the past month or so, while Hamilton has come a long way in a very short space of time. These are traditional rivals. No 2 teams in sport like to beat each other more than Hamilton and Toronto. On the other side, it's Vic Carter at the Hamilton bench.
Ernie, thank you very much. I think the key over here in the Hamilton defense, they say 20. That's how many points they think they can give up to the Argos. 20 points, that's all. If they can hold them to 20, they're going to win. At least they feel so. Don?
Well, that's what they did the last time they met, Vic. They held the Argos to 20 points here at CNE Stadium, winning by a score of 25-20. I think defense, gentlemen, Ron Lancaster and Leo Cahill will be the key this afternoon.
It always is. Defense gives you the opportunity to win. If your offense can move the ball, it's great, but defense is the key, Leo.
I think a big consideration out here today, there's been a lot of talk about what the Argo front 4 are going to do because they've got such a great front 4 defensively, but this field has been a little bit bad, and that should deter them somewhat.
The singing of our national anthem. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, through patriot law in our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see the rise, Argonauts strong and free. From our line, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard
And we'll be back to CNE Stadium for the opening kickoff right after this message. Al Bruno looking on from that Hamilton bench as Bob Abilovich, who had a bye last week and was a spectator watching the Ticats defeat the Ottawa Rough Riders in the Eastern semifinal. Referee Bud Ulrich is in charge of this afternoon's game. He hails from Winnipeg. Speaking of Winnipeg, later today, the Blue Bombers and the BC Lions will decide the Western title. Which of the four teams will alive will go to the Grey Cup 1 week from today at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. This is Crawford 21 and Howard Field back for this opening kickoff. The ball bounces to Crawford at the goal line. He is down at the 20, and that's where the Hamilton Tiger Cats will start.
Well, there's a man that'll carry the Hamilton Tiger Cat fortune, and he can do it. He's the one quarterback that can carry a football team on his shoulders, and that's a pretty good running back from the nation. They've been injured a little bit. Their receivers are solid. Johnson had a great game here in their final game. These are the men up front that everybody's concerned with. They've got to get Dieter Brock time to throw the ball.
On the opening kickoff, there is an injured Argo player. It is linebacker Doug Battershill. Now, Battershill was slated to start at that left linebacking position, so with Battershill going to the bench, that means Mike Emery will come in to take his spot.
You know, Don, on the kickoff, that driving kickoff by Olympic, it only took a good play back there close to the end zone, stopping that ball. And this guy's done it all year. We're talking about Rufus Crawford. Jumped up there and knocked it down, or it could have gone in the end zone. It could have started out 1-0 right away.
Johnson is wide left. Well, if that opening play is any indication, this Argo defense is ranked up this afternoon.
Dieter Brock had time to throw the football. His receiver right across the middle, I think it was DPX, fell down coming across the middle, and that allowed them to get time to sack him. But he had time to throw it.
Second and 13. The screen to Bragg-Agola. There's a penalty flag on the play. William Mitchell took him out of bounds during the course of regular season play. Mitchell led the Argonauts in tackles, and he has been in on the first two this afternoon. However, there is a holding call, and it appears to be a call against the Argos. The officials determining where the violation took place, and the infraction and the yardage now being marked off against the Argonauts. So it will be 2nd and 3.
Well, we didn't get that call just exactly who it was, but so often on a screen pass, the defensive lineman will grab the guy that they're supposed to screen to and hold him purposely. But that time, Bragg-Agola got the ball clean, so I don't know who they made the call on.
Second and 3 from the 27-yard line. Johnny Shepard, he's got the first down. Stretching out to the 35. He followed the lead block of Mark Bragagnola, and there was some question right up until this morning as to whether or not Bragagnola would be able to play.
This power, that's a power off tackle. When you pull a guard and lead it back, you're not looking for anything but 2 yards, and that's all they wanted, and Johnny Shepard got it for him.
Throughout most of the season, Johnny Shepard, the Finley Award winner a year ago as the top rookie in the CFL, has been on the injured list. Over the middle, incomplete. It was intended for Johnny Shepard.
Well, I tell you, Johnny Shepard's got those gloves on today, and today is a warm day, and there's no reason why he should have gloves on. As we see William Mitchell come over there to close the distance on him, but he didn't have the ball under control at all, and I would attribute it to wearing those gloves. If those gloves get a little bit wet on a day like today, you just can't hold on to the football.
Yes, the temperature this afternoon, 4 degrees.
Move! Right.
D'Pietro incomplete. It was stripped from him by William Mitchell, and what a start William Mitchell is off to for the Argos.
It's like a one-man wrecking crew. He's been on every single play that the Argos have had today. That time, D'Pietro looks like he's got it in his hands, and as he's bringing it down, Mitchell hits it with his head, and out it pops.
You're right, Ron. He made the tackle on the first play of the game and then knocked down 2 passes and closed on a screen pass. Just a tremendous start for him. Field position is almost always important, but especially on a day like today. And looking up at the flags, there's hardly any wind, which is not a deterrent to either football team going either direction.
High snap. Ernie Ruoff had to haul it down. He had a great punting day against the Montreal Concord in that Eastern semifinal. And he launches a big one here on his first kick of the day, a 48-yarder. And the Toronto Argonauts will be scrimmaging first and 10 from the 37 when we return. Well, despite the fact that he had better statistics during the regular season, Joe Barnes is the backup this afternoon. Conrad Holloway is the starter. And there has been speculation over the past few days as to Joe Barnes' future with the Toronto Argonauts. Some seem to feel that Barnes will not be here next year. First and 10, the Argos from their own 37. Conrad Holloway, the quarterback. Oh, he's got Lester Brown wide open at the 50 of Hamilton.
Here's the offense of the Argos. This is the way they want to be. They like to start with Holloway in there and then come in with Barnes if they have to in the course of the ball game. They've got the receivers intact. Paul Pearson is back strong again. So it looks like they're going to be tough in there also. Their offensive line, the only change is King at right guard. Everybody else is pretty well intact now. Puncher is back at the left tackle, so they should be ready to play.
The last game they played against Hamilton, Franklin King, playing offense for the first time, played that left tackle position. Today he's in at guard. Holloway looking for Pearson, incomplete. It will be second and 10 from the 50.
Well, that first play of the game, Ron, they put everybody on one side of the field and just outnumbered Hamilton.
Well, they found Lester Brown right down the middle in between the linebackers and the secondary, and Holloway, he reads well, and as you say, they had too many receivers over there, and somebody's going to open up if he has time.
Go ahead, Don. I was going to say sometime during the course of the afternoon, they're going to get everybody over on one side and try to create a situation where they get Greer one-on-one on the cornerback.
I think we may also see Terry Greer running out of that slot back position on occasion this afternoon. Pearson over the middle, and his game is restricted to about 4 yards by Leo Ezrin, who has played particularly well in the last 3 or 4 games.
Well, Ron, we pointed out before that play that they're going to try to create situations to get Greer one-on-one on Best, and that time they did.
Well, they sure did. Had him one-on-one all over the football. That man right there, Leo Ezrin, has had an outstanding season for Hamilton. Last week he had 2 sacks, 5 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, and he made the hit on DeTilio late to save the game.
Many feel that this could come down to a kicking contest between Ruoff and Malisic. Ruoff hit his first punt 48 yards. Let's watch Malisic with his first kick of the day. It sails into the end zone, and Paul Bennett is going to give out the single point. Bennett, an experienced punt returner, let that ball bounce, hoping to perhaps draw some of those Argos within that 5-yard area, but they wisely stayed back, and it goes as a single point Toronto. The Argos lead it 1-0.
Well, on a field like today, it's very smart to take a one-pointer down there and not get bogged down inside your 5-yard line. And Bennett, as you say, almost drew those defenders into that thing. In fact, it was pretty close.
First and 10, Hamilton. They are scrimmaging from their own 35-yard line. Little swing pass to Johnny Shepard, and Don Noel is there to make the tackle. A loss in the play of about 3 yards. Well, the two most ardent Hamilton supporters in attendance this afternoon have dropped by for a bit of a visit. King Clancy and Harold Ballard, and they're not sure whether they're supporting the Leafs or the Ticats this afternoon. They were at the hockey game last night as the Maple Leafs fought to a 4-all tie with the Chicago Blackhawks. Ernie Afaganis and I were at the game, and Harold was really enjoying that game, continually flashing messages on the scoreboard. Bye-bye Argos, and words to that effect. But James Curry is trying to say bye-bye to the Ticats. He drops Brock back to 24.
Well, Leo hit on it early. He said that the key today was that Hamilton offensive line against that tremendous front four. And you see right here, James Curry to the right of your screen is eventually going to be the man. And when he gets hold of him, he doesn't let go. That's a tough, tough defense.
James Curry all season led the Toronto Argonauts in sacks. Bernie Ruoff fires another big punt here for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It takes a good bounce as far as the Cats are concerned. Penalty flag on the play. No yards given to Jan Ferenci on the return by John Priester. So the Argos will improve their field position with the penalty on the punt return.
Grey Cup coverage begins on CBC this Thursday with the Shenley Awards from Edmonton. Join hosts Ernie Afaganis and Pierre Defoe at 8 local, 9 Atlantic, 9:30 in Newfoundland. The Shenley Awards, Thursday on CBC.
Thank you, Brian. And of course, the Shenley Awards just part of our CBC Grey Cup Week coverage. We've got the Grey Cup Parade on Saturday, the thrill of it all, our 90-minute pregame show on Sunday, and then, of course, the game itself. If you can't make it to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, we sure hope you'll be joining us on CBC television. First and 10 for the Argos from the 53 of the Ticats. Holloway will try for Terry Greer.
That's absolutely exactly what we alluded to. Holloway sprints to his left. Everybody is on the left with the exception of Terry Greer over on the right, all by himself. One-on-one on Best, and he just runs a little post pattern, gets the inside of Best, and Holloway hangs it right in there too. They created a one-on-one situation. They're going to do that as often as Hamilton will give it to him.
Well, there are maybe a half dozen players in the league that you have to fear every time you play certain games, and Terry Greer is one of them. He can break a game open all by himself. Paul Pierston, the leading receiver, coming across the middle, and again, Leo Ezra reacted to it and restricted his advance to just a couple of yards.
Well, not only do they put the receivers over there to clear out that zone, then they're bringing Pearson across from the wide side of the field. And all they try to do is to get him underneath the linebackers and throw him a football if they can. This time they did, but as you saw, Ezra's held it to 3 yards, so they're going to give him that. They don't want to score a touchdown.
This is where Holloway is extremely dangerous because if they come with the rush and open up those lanes, he'll run with the football.
Second and 7. Quickly to Greer on the screen. He should have the first down. Leo Ezra again came over for the Ticats to make the tackle, but not before Greer had picked up first down yardage.
What was nice about this is watch Greer. He's just going after that first down straight ahead. He's not trying to fake anybody. He knows he needs a first down. He got it.
Greer, because of injuries this year, did not duplicate the season he had in 1983. That would have been a very difficult task because he established league records. And he is healthy for this playoff encounter. Penalty flags, movement at the line of scrimmage. Greer, the intended receiver, it's knocked down in the end zone by Paul Bennett.
Holloway's foul was intended for Greer. Incomplete. Flags are down.
It appeared to be movement by the Ticats. It is.
What you see right here, it looks like a man-to-man coverage with everybody up, but the key is Paul Bennett right here. He's going to drop back deep and play a zone back there, and that's going to eliminate it. It really isn't a man-to-man coverage. You see Bennett just dropping back there with nothing to do.
It was Ben Zambiazzi who made the move prior to the ball being snapped, and I think, Ron, the Ticats feel that Bennett has to have a strong game today. He is a key to their defensive scheme.
Well, he's a veteran back there. He has to be strong in the middle. You don't allow him down the middle. They've already got one post pattern on him. They don't want another one.
First and goal from the 3-yard line. Holloway will try and run it, but he's going to be chased. Will he get to the end zone? No. Howard Fields and Mitchell Price came over to drag Holloway down at about 2.
Boy, he is dangerous down here, though. He looks to his left there, doesn't see anything, then darts back to his right, and just tries to outrun the defenders into the end zone over to that corner there. But a real good job by number 16, Howard Fields, of making an adjustment, stops the touchdown.
All those teams down there like to run that big pattern, and that time he just couldn't do it.
Hank Elissa is waiting. He is hoping that it will be the point after rather than a field goal attempt. Second and goal. Lester Brown, touchdown!
Just the lead play in there. Takes off. He was well met in there by Zambiazzi. And it just took an exceptional move by Lester that time of just projecting the ball over that white line or across that plane to get the touchdown. But it was a good job defensively by Hamilton.
Hank Elissa with Jan Paritsky holding. He puts it through, and the Toronto Argonauts lead by a score of 8-0 with 6:22 remaining in this first quarter, and the Argos will be kicking off when we return. The Toronto Argonauts looking very, very strong through the first 7.5 minutes of this opening quarter, and Lester Brown, who missed the last regular season game because of an injury. He has a problem with the fingers on his left hand. And of course the Argos were indeed happy that he was able to return for this game. What a kickoff by Elissa! And it will slide through the end zone, so there's no point. Had it been touched by a Hamilton defender, it would have been a single point. Well, Ernie Afaganis is working with us this afternoon on the sidelines, as he will be during the Grey Cup. Ernie, what have you to report?
Well, Don, this is how the Toronto Argo offensive backs and defensive backs have been keeping their hands warm. These are very huge gloves. Inside, they're lined with a foam that retains heat. They're large because the players, a lot of them tape their hands or they wear gloves, so they give them plenty of room. I think we're going to take these back to Edmonton with me. And Ronnie, you told us a couple of days ago how you kept your hands warm when you were playing in the cold games.
Well, Don Moen is keeping warm by applying some pretty good hits to people like Johnny Shepard as he wrapped them up that time for a loss back to the 21-yard line. Ron, perhaps you could answer that question by Ernie about keeping hands warm.
Well, we can get to it right after this play. I was always a little weird, Don.
I won't comment on that. Swing pass to Mark Bragagnola. Penalty flag, a flipping call, I'm sure will go against Steve Stapler.
Don, what I did is, I knew I could never wear gloves in a game, and so before we'd go out for pregame warm-up, I soaked my hands in ice, and I just freeze them solid, and then during the warm-up, I couldn't throw the ball very well, but a lot of people thought I didn't throw well during the game. But once you get into the locker room and the heat started coming back into my hands, I found it kept them warm for an awful long time.
You know what? Leo, you're right. He is a little weird.
Well, the Ticats tried a little bit of what the Argonauts do. 4 receivers to one side, but then as a result, Stapler came in and clipped. So that's just no way you can do that in these kind of ball games.
Hamilton's going to have to stop the Argos on this drive because the Argos get down there again. They could take this ball game and put it right out of reach early.
Third down kick by Bernie Ruoff. Another good kick by the Hamilton punter. Carinci takes it at the 43. And Carinci fights his way out to the 52. A 46-yard kickoff. Well, this year marks an anniversary for CBC radio coverage of Grey Cup games. The very first, December 7th, 1935. The game played at the Hamilton Amateur Athletic Association grounds. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Hamilton Tiger Cats 18-12 to win the first national title for the West. This 50th anniversary game this year on CBC Radio will be broadcast by Bob Pickett, who will be doing his 14th Grey Cup game on CBC Radio. First and 10, the ball is at the 52-yard line. Holloway fakes to Pearson, throws to Greer.
Well, you might think under the circumstances that they're putting Greer in a one-on-one situation on Bess all the time, and that isn't fair to Bess. But the big thing here is they're just giving Holloway way too much time. And if you give him that much time and let him look over the field and let Greer work himself open, it's almost impossible to stop that play.
Holloway sprinted left real quick, didn't like what he saw, and as you say, it gives Greer a lot of time to go find a hole, and Holloway finds him.
First and 10, the ball is at the 39. Holloway will run it. He gets to the 30-yard line, about 2 yards shy of the first down, brought down by John Priestner. That's where Holloway is so dangerous. He will take off if he can't find a receiver in the open.
Well, the last time they put those receivers out, they put one-on-one coverage with Bess on Greer. This time they had 2 people lined up on him and a safety man deep. They was really looking for Terry Greer.
Well, last week in that semifinal win over the Montreal Concorde, the Ticats had less than 100 yards offense. This afternoon, they're in the minus category. Second and 2, the screen to Terry Greer. First down, Toronto.
Well, that time, the Hamilton Tiger Cats came with a blitz from the offside, but it was picked up perfectly by the Argonaut offensive line, giving Holloway the time to get the ball out to Greer. Now, what the Hamilton has been doing in this early part of the ball game is just using a conventional 4-man rush and dropping their linebackers deep. And that's suicide because Holloway will get back, and if everybody's covered, he's going to run for a ton today.
First and 10, the ball is at the 23. Holloway's in trouble now. He is dropped for a loss back at the 26-yard line by Rod Skillman.
That's exactly what they have to do. They've got to come with pressure and then close up those rush lanes and not give Holloway any room to step up inside there and run.
You know, I have to apologize to some of the old-timers who may be listening this afternoon and will take me to task for calling the 1935 edition of the Winnipeg football team the Blue Bombers. They were called the Winnipegs back then, and they were named the Blue Bombers by Vince Leah, a well-known writer from the Winnipeg Tribune of a few years back, and now with the Winnipeg Free Press, Uncle Vince named the football team the Blue Bombers back then. Lester Brown very close to the first down.
Well, that's an excellent job by Lester Brown. He wanted to go out and then turn up the field and go deep down the sidelines, but they had him covered cold if he does that, so he stops and comes right back to give Conridge a target.
Well, Ron, when you've got all those receivers out in one area on a field this size, it's almost impossible if you've got good, smart receivers not to have somebody get open. If the key to this whole thing is if you give that quarterback that much time, and they're giving him way too much time. They've got to get some pressure on him and get it there in a hurry.
First and 10. The Argos at the 11-yard line of the Ticats. They lead 8-0 with 1:12 remaining in the quarter. End zone pass. Picked off. Felix Wright came over the top of Paul Pearson to pick it off. Great defensive play.
Well, you'll never see a better interception than that one there. He went as high as he could go, and he came a distance to do it too, Ron.
Well, you said they've been dropping those linebackers deep, and that's what it is, a straight zone defense. And watch how far 28 comes to get that football. That's what it is. You drop back in your zone. When the ball's thrown in the air, you go get it. And he did.
It helps an awful lot, though, if you can get that front four to put a little pressure on that quarterback and make him throw. And that time, Grover Covington, number 77, was breathing down Holloway's throat, and he may have threw that ball a little bit undecided on that play, and that's what happened.
Now, both teams may reflect back on that play as being a turning point in this ball game. 15-0 for the Argos at that point could have made a big difference. Ron Johnson is knocked out of bounds at the 35 by Lamont Meacham.
Dieter just wanted to show the Argonauts he has that screen out to the flanker also, and those are high percentage plays on a field such as this when it's a little bit slippery. Ron Johnson tried to stop and cut. He lost his balance, probably hurt his ankle a little bit. We'll see.
Talking to some of the Ticats prior to the game, because of the slippery field, the water on the field, etc., they had staples inserted into the bottom of their shoes. They felt that would give them better traction. It didn't on that play for Ron Johnson. Johnson, of course, was a key for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in their 25-20 victory over the Argos on October 27th here at CNE Stadium.
It looked there the way that they were jostling with his arm there that he may have his shoulder out of place. They're trying to put it back in.
41 seconds the time remaining in this opening quarter. It's 8-0, the Argos leading. Vic Rauter is standing by on the sidelines with this report.
Felix Wright, you couldn't have come up with a bigger play at any particular time. Things weren't going well, and maybe this will turn it around.
Well, thank you. We're trying to disguise it a little bit, not showing what we're doing. It's a little bit slippery out there right now, but we're changing it up, trying to keep them off balance.
Theo Cahill points out that you're just rushing 4 linemen and then dropping people back. Is that what happened on the interception?
That's true. We're trying to mix it up, blitz a little bit, stay back, but we're coming. We're coming. Hi, Mom, Dad, baby.
Second and less than a yard for the Ticats. Peter Brock throwing incomplete. He underthrew Johnny Shepard. Shepard had moved in behind Ralph Dixon. And Peter Brock with Wilson in his face. Perhaps unable to see Shepard down those sidelines.
Well, that's a good thing that he was in his face, because when they completely fooled him, and Shepard's wide open, but he just didn't have time to stand back there and throw it like he normally does.
A good calculated gamble on second down. Now, your quarterback sneak it for the first down. It's just a short, that's it. Take it and get your first down. But it was a good calculated gamble by an experienced quarterback, and it could have paid big dividends.
Well, Peter Brock on the third down gamble gets the first down, and that is also the final play of the opening quarter with the Argos in front by 8. Last week, as far as their offense was concerned, having similar problems this afternoon in this Eastern final against the fired-up Toronto defensive squad. First and 10, the screen to Rufus Crawford. He gets to the line of scrimmage and no further. Well, the statistical story of that opening quarter pretty well tells you what happened in the first 15 minutes of this ball game. Look at the discrepancy in terms of net offense. Just 8 yards for Hamilton, 126 for Toronto. And had it not been for that end zone touchdown by Felix Wright, the Argos could be in front by 15.
And interception, you mean, Coach?
What did I say?
Touchdown.
Oh. Well, once in a while you have to make the odd mistake to make sure you're listening. Pass incomplete, intended for Steve Stapler, and there's a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage.
Well, we should point out that Ron Johnson is back in the ball game, and boy, they need him in there, because in the last 2 games he's had 20 catches for 313 yards, averaging about 13.6 per catch throughout the entire season.
So with that miss by Dieter Brock, the Ticats are forced into another kicking situation.
holding against
Last week, as we said, against Montreal, Bernie Ruoff was a key in the victory by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They are counting on his kicking to get them out of trouble again this afternoon. Big kick by Ruoff. Carinci goes back to his own 20-yard line. Excellently turned up to the 47. A 54-yard kick and the run back of 27 by Jan Carinci. Versatility of Rufus Crawford of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. How about Jan Carinci of the Argonauts? He has worked as a slot back, as a wide receiver, as a running back, a punt return specialist, and he is playing safety this afternoon. Last year, Jan Carinci scored the first touchdown in the Grey Cup victory over the British Columbia Lions. Inside handoff to Emmanuel Tolbert. He picked up about 3 yards as Howard Fields came in to make the tackle. That's a play we haven't seen the Argonauts run very often, with the slot back, Emmanuel Tolbert carrying the ball.
Yeah, they did it with Pearson early in the season quite a bit, but as you say, that's about the first time I've seen Tolbert do it.
Gain of 4 on the play.
Joe Barnes signaling from the sidelines, helping quarterback Conrad Holloway in his play selection. Second and 6. The ball is at the 51. 8-0. Toronto in front. Holloway with an excellent play by Mitchell Price as he got away from the block of John Malinowski to drop the Toronto quarterback.
Well, he sure did. Malinowski had good position on him, but it could be the wetness of the field where Malinowski didn't get a good shoulder into him, but Price went right over the top of him and got on top of Conrad, and that's what they're going to have to do all afternoon if they're going to stop this Argonaut offense.
John Malinowski tried to cut the legs out from under him, and Price just got his hands down and put him down and jumped over top of him. He made no contact with those legs.
The third down punt now by Hank Kalisic as he stands at his own 27-yard line. Fielded by Paul Bennett on the run at the 30. And he is dropped at the 38 by Mike Hamilton. Paul Bennett, of course, started this year with the Toronto Argonauts after a preseason trade by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He would like nothing better than to defeat his former teammates in this Eastern Championship game. He had an outstanding ball game last week against Montreal. But any success the Ticats may enjoy will depend upon this man, Dieter Brock. So far, he has had difficulty getting it to those receivers. He hits Bragignola, but Bragignola is stopped immediately by Doug Battershill.
It looks to me like the Argos are doing an exceptionally good job putting their linebackers on the outside, covering the flats very well, and covering deep. The guy that they're going to have to hurt in the middle is Carinci.
That's what you're saying, Leo. Here he is. Dieter goes back. He drops way back in his zone, and when they release that screen pass, it's Battershill that comes back up to make the tackle. You're exactly right. See him drop out of there. Now he looks back at the quarterback. He sees the screen coming, and here comes number 70 right where he should be.
They got to get into the post area in the middle.
Penalty flag, and Dieter Brock is wrapped up by James Curry. The initial pressure came from Earl Rosen, and then James Curry, an Eastern Conference All-Star, finished the job. But there was also a penalty flag of the play, and I think it will be a holding call against Hamilton that naturally will be declined by the Argos.
You know, Don, when you get protection early in the ball game and you have young people like they have on that offensive line, they get confident. But so far, the Argonauts are taking it to them, and it goes the other way, too. That defense gets confidence, and they'll never stop it.
Again, the Ticats need another big kick from Ruoff. Ball bounces to Carinci, and he struggles to the 40-yard line. There's also a penalty flag on the play. With 11-11 remaining in the first half, the Argos lead it 8-0.
I'm Brian Williams at CFL Control. Coming up at halftime, Bruce Witter has a report on Grey Cup preparations in Edmonton. I'll talk live from Vancouver with the two Western head coaches, Cal Murphy and Don Matthews. Big halftime show coming up. Right now, let's return it to Don Whitman at Exhibition Stadium.
Thanks, Brian, and we look forward to that halftime presentation. It will be interesting to see what pre-game comments the two Western coaches, Don Matthews and Cal Murphy, have to say before they take the field for that Western final. Pearson on the sidelines, very close to a first down for the Toronto Argonauts.
Following flag from the 42 Pearson. First out of bounds by Howard Field.
Al Bruno has to be concerned so far in this game with lack of offense that his team has been able to generate.
The message that he's got to get to his football team down, Don, is just relax out there, play football, and things will start coming your way. Don't panic. They're only 8 points up on you. Just make them make mistakes.
2nd and 2, Holloway dives for the first down across the 40. It was brought down by Mike Walker.
It was a very wise play by Holloway. He took a look out there at Terry Greer on that quick stop, but he had Howard Fields in a position to knock the ball down and intercept it. He just pulled it down and went and got the 2 yards by himself.
Well, if we knew what the Argonaut signals were, we could perhaps decipher what Joe Barnes was signaling to Conrad Holloway on that play. Lester Brown is dropped for a loss of 2 yards. Covington and Walker were there. As a matter of fact, it appeared as though all 4 Hamilton defensive linemen were in on that stop.
Something I noticed on that play, Holloway came back limping. Holloway has a tendency from time to time, though, to kind of deceive the opponent by thinking that he's a lot hurt more than he is. He limped pretty severely on that, but watch him on this play, he'll probably come up and run.
And you may have noticed on the bench, Papa Bilovic said to Joe Barnes, start warming up.
Oh, watch Conrad on this play. He looks like he's moving all right.
Holloway is caught from behind by Walker. There goes to a penalty flag on the play. Terry Greer and Gerald Best had a few words. I don't know what that flag was for. Well, we're going to get a good look at it. Greer tries to go inside of him. Oh, Best just grabbed him. That's what they were hollering about. I don't think Gerald Best can complain at all about that call. No, he sure can't. Now Bruno said, what's that for? Well, if he had as good view as we did, he'd know exactly what it was for. That could be a very costly penalty against the Ticats because they have dropped Holloway for the loss in the 2nd down gamble. They had forced him into the punting situation, but the Argos get a reprieve, and now it's 2nd down 2. He got it back.
Boy, that was a lucky get it back. He was right on his back, and the ball went up in the air and came right back down in his hand.
Watch Leslie get those legs cut out from under as he tries to stop and cut back, and that ball goes right up in the air. And watch this. Hello there.
Bobo Bilovic on the sidelines. You'll see Holloway coming off the field there limping again, but Bilovic on the sidelines, I'm sure he's questioning that play. And just a couple of yards to go. Why pitch the ball deep in the backfield, take a chance on some penetration, knocking you for a loss like that when you can go right at them? They've had a lot of success all afternoon and just get the first down. That's a big play right there. This is field position if they would have really had a one-upper on the Hamilton Tiger attack.
In addition to Conrad Holloway limping off to the bench, Paul Pearson appears to be in a great deal of pain. He has had some problems this season. First of all with a hamstring and then with a rib injury. A high punt by Hank Elizabeth. Fielded by Lucas backward at the 20, nowhere to go. Goldsmith and Emmer Murray were both there on that powering Olympic punt to wrap him up. No return after a kick of 44, and the Ticats are back at their own 20-yard line.
Sports Weekend Live, the Grey Cup Parade from Edmonton, the Royal Winter Fair from Toronto. The show will be anchored from our Grey Cup studios at Commonwealth Stadium, and we'll bring you up to date on last-minute preparations for the big game itself.
And Conrad Holloway are seen leaving the field. Holloway appears to have injured his hip in the way, and for Pearson, it's in the shoulder or up just a little above, close to the neck area. They're not quite sure. They're taking him off for x-rays. Dieter block for Johnson. Hold on.
Play came across to hit Johnson at about the same instant the ball arrived.
That's where they're going to have to get the ball into the middle, in behind the linebackers, and in front of Jan Colinci, who's, primarily an offensive player that's playing in there at that rover position. He'll hit you, and he'll cause you some physical problems, but he's going to play it safe and play deep in the middle there. So they got to get some kind of action and throw the ball in either crossing patterns or post patterns and get it in the middle. They're not having any success on the outside.
Second and 10. The ball is at the 20. Block to DiPietro. First down at the 31. I'll make it the 36-yard line. Well, there are a number of candidates for our Carving O'Keefe Game Star Award, and in this game, recipients will be receiving the Carlsberg Award and a cash prize of $500, courtesy of Carving O'Keefe. And helping our television crew make today's selection are Rick Matsumoto of the Toronto Star and Tony Fitzgerald of the Hamilton Spectator. And we'll tell you a little more about those Carving O'Keefe Awards right after this play. Incomplete, intended for John Stepper. They will have something extra special to shoot for during the Grey Cup game 1 week from today. The outstanding offensive player will receive a brand new 1985 Ford Thunderbird, the outstanding defensive player a 1985 Mercury Cougar, and the outstanding Canadian player a 1985 Ford Bronco.
That time we saw Shepard come across the middle, was open, got the ball, hit him in the hands, but again those gloves are wet, and he's not being able to hold that ball.
Second down 10 from the 36. Block again is dropped. And James Curry registers his third quarterback sack of the day. What an amazing turnaround in his career.
Well, that's for sure. From a guy that nobody wanted to the season that he's had, watch number 74. He was the leader with 22.5 sacks for the Argos this year. And the one sorry thing that's tough to take for any team is Hamilton gave up 74 quarterback sacks on the season. That's next to the last in the CFL. That's way too many against a team like the Argos.
That matches James Curry's number. And he's got 3 of those quarterback sacks this afternoon. Kyle Bravely with his first punt return of the day. He's brought down at the 52-yard line. So again, the Toronto Argonauts will have good field position. Each time they have started an offensive series, they have had the ball in good field position. Joe Barnes now taking over to replace the injured Conrad Holloway.
40-yard kick. 12 yards on the return. Now a quarterback for the Argonauts, number 17, Joe Barnes.
Townsend has taken over from Paul Pearson at that slot back position. First and 10 from the 51, 8-0. The Argos in front. Barnes is dropped for a loss by Grover Covington. Basically this afternoon, Covington has been designated as the Ticat screen man. He is not really a big rusher, but with Bob Bronk out of the play, he took off after Joe Barnes.
Well, sometimes when you're playing that outside position and you're playing kind of soft and looking for screens, you get a leverage position, and then if there's any rollout by the quarterback, you're probably in the best position to close the distance on him and make the play.
A big loss back to the 40-yard line at 2nd and 21. Barnes throwing deep for Terry Greer. It's picked up. Felix White with his second interception of the day.
Well, they've got some blockers in front of them.
Joe Barnes kicking up the ball. Who's got it? Oh, Wright got it back, but that was Joe Barnes who came up to strip Felix Wright of the ball.
Well, Joe Barnes never should have thrown that football. And earlier in the ball game, getting Conridge out of there without Joe really mentally being in that ball game like he normally is, he wasn't thinking about going in that quickly, and he had plenty of time to run with that football for the first down. He let it go up in the air foolishly. Wright came down with it, made a nice return on it. This game is not over yet.
First and 10, the ball is at the 42. There's the swing pass to Bryce Ignola. And he gets to the 50.
Well, they're doing some hitting out there. This is very characteristic of Argo Hamilton Tiger Cat games. Two of the Argos in the dressing room, as we reported before, Conridge, Holloway, and Pearson with bruises, and they're really going after each other right now.
Well, a week ago, the Ticats defeated the Montreal Concord on the strength of strong defensive play. Their defense has kept them in this game this afternoon.
You got to get the ball in the middle if they're going to have success with the running backs. They should be drawing a little bit here too and screening.
Shepard fumbled the ball. Who's got it? Toronto is recovered. Battersfield comes up with the football.
I don't think so. I think they're going to rule he was down.
Yes, they are. Much to the dismay of Doug Battersfield, they are ruling that Shepard was down.
Well, that's a big break for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Pavel Bilovich can't believe it. Neither can many of the spectators here at CNE Stadium this afternoon, although a large contingent of Hamilton fans have made the journey for this afternoon's game, and you'll hear cries of Oski Wee Wee throughout the course of the day. Let's watch it again.
What Mitchell's going to hit him up higher around the ball's gone. The ball was gone before he ever was close to the ground.
Dick Router is standing by on the sideline.
Linebacker Leo Ezerins, you've played an awful lot of football. The whole defense, I mean, I'm glad you get the ball back. You need the rest.
The more we play, the more aggressive we get. We enjoy playing out there. It'd be nice for the offense to move the ball and get some rest. We've got to hold on Toronto's offense while our offense is getting in there.
How much of a difference does Joe Barnes now mean than Conridge Holloway?
Not a heck of a lot. Joe's been on the bench watching what we're doing defensively. But God, last time we played him, Joe didn't do that much against the leader, so it doesn't make a lot of difference.
Well, Leo Ezerins has had an outstanding season for the Ticats. But when Bob Bilovich sees the game filmed on that one, he'll be a little upset because there's no question that Connie Shepard was knocked down before that ball was stripped from him. Fortunately for the Ticats, they retain possession. They now have a first down at the 54. There's been trying to set up that screen, left and right, and it has not worked. That was Rufus Crawford. Over on the Argo bench, let's join Ernie Applegate.
Don, this is Paul Pearson. He just came out of the dressing room. What's the verdict on the shoulder, Paul?
Well, Fred, I'm trainer since I've got a dislocated shoulder, but we popped it back, and I think I can play in the second half.
You're kidding me, really?
Well, if it pops out again, we can just put someone else in. We don't have too many bodies, but I'd like to say happy birthday, my brother Peter. Happy birthday, Pete.
Okay,
Paul says forget about the dislocated shoulder. Happy birthday, Peter.
Pass complete to Steve Stapler. First down at the 41-yard line. Ralph Dixon cut the feet out from under Steve Stapler earlier this year in the training camp of the Washington Redskins, one of the late cuts. 3 minutes remaining in the first half. It's 8-0. Toronto leading Hamilton. Ticats on their best marks of the day. Well, despite the fact that their offense really has done very, very little this afternoon, the Ticats are still very much in this ball game as we move into the final 3 minutes of the first half. Broadway with Mark Wagner wrestled down by Earl Wilson after a pickup of 1, maybe 2 yards.
Well, that thing opened up nice, but Wilson did a great job of recovery. That's a good play. The way that defensive line is cutting so tough, that's a good play for beating the call just to keep them honest on their pass rushes. You got to be able to draw in there and run inside with quick traps and things like that when they're flying at you like they were and put the pressure on him like they have been.
Second and 9. Dickler, the intended receiver, incomplete. He was well covered by Carl Brazing. Brock has thrown 14 times today, completing just 8 for 57 yards.
That's the place you got to get it, though, in the middle there. A good job by Brazley going over the top and stripping the ball.
Bernie Ruoff will be attempting a 47-yard field goal on 3rd down. Jeff Tedford comes into hold for Ruoff. It's long enough. It's good. 2 minutes and 24 seconds remaining and just 5 points separate the Argos who are leading the Tigers.
Well, that's a guy that's done a tremendous job. We've been referring to him all afternoon, especially in that last game, Bernie Ruoff. And it isn't very often, as you'll see him put that thing through and then jump up and say we got it, but it isn't very often that we pick a kicker for the Carling O'Keefe Team Star, but if he keeps this up, he's got to get some consideration.
First and 10, the Argos at the 35. They lead it 8-3, 2:24 remaining in this first half. Penalty flag as the pass was complete to Townsend on the sidelines, but I think it will be called back. Usually a flag in the backfield means a holding call against the offense, and that it is.
Well, you take a look up at that scoreboard. The score is 8-3, and the momentum has changed here a little bit. And with those injuries that the Argos have right now, and the Hamilton coming on strongly, this could be a great football game.
Certainly a contrast to last year's Eastern Championship, a wide-open offensive battle won by the Argos 41-36. It's 1st and 20 now, back at the 25-yard line. In case you just joined us, Conrad Holloway was hurt earlier in the second quarter. He's gone to the dressing room. Joe Barnes has taken over. Trying to set up the screen for Braun, incomplete. Down at the bench, let's join Vic Roberts.
Earlier, Ernie was telling you about the different mitts they'll wear because of the cold and what they use to keep their hands warm. They also come prepared for their feet. 3 or 4 different shoes. The ones that they're wearing right now, because the turf is wet, this is actually a broom ball shoe, and if the temperature dips enough and it freezes, well, they'll all switch to these so they can play on the icy conditions.
And Vic, prior to the game, we were also talking with Paul Bennett and Bernie Ruoff, and as we said, they have staples in the bottom of their shoes, much like the Montreal Alouettes used a few years ago in the Grey Cup game when they defeated the Edmonton Eskimos on an icy field at Olympic Stadium. Joe Barnes is gets away from Skillman. It appeared as though his child dumped it off the ground, but he has dropped at the 30-yard line. The Argos are in another punish situation.
And Hamilton's starting to put the pressure on him. We'll see Holloway back on the sidelines now.
Well, word we get is that Freddie Dunbar, the trainer, has given Conrad Holloway the green light to go back in there if he so desires. Paul Pearson indicated he wanted to go back in, despite the fact he had that shoulder problem. But he has taken the pads off, and I would think he's finished for the afternoon. Again, a high kick by Elissick, not as deep this time. Richard Crawford takes it at the 46, penalty flag, and Crawford goes out of bounds at the 53. No yards, the charge against the Toronto Argonauts, then. That will improve the field position.
Well, he almost draws rain with this one. He kicks it straight up in the air.
I think he might get an Emmy Award for that performance in front of referee Bud Ulrich. However, his kicking foot had returned to the ground before he was touched. That is the criteria for determining whether or not a roughing penalty results. for Crawford, incomplete. There's another penalty flag in the play. Ralph Dixon knocked it down. Dixon was originally inserted into the Toronto lineup into that safety or rover position. With Darrell Wilson going to the bench, he has moved into that inside halfback spot.
What you look at, Dave Brock, the quarterback, reads one man on a drop back reception. That's middle linebacker William Mitchell. Whatever side of the field Mitchell goes to, he's going to go the other way. Mitchell comes here, they curl the receivers here, and watch Brock throw it in away from the middle linebacker. That's the quarterback's simplest read. Read one man, throw to the other side of the field.
However, there was also a holding call against the Ticats, so now it's 1st and 20, back at the 51. With 1:35 remaining. I think that pass was deflected somewhere at the line of scrimmage, maybe by Vince Goldsmith as they tried to set up the screen.
Well, they were very fortunate that it was a screen because that was going to be intercepted. You see the ball go up in the air, and the Toronto Argonauts are in a better position really to catch that football. Ralph Dixon goes after it. Watch Vince Goldsmith get that big hand up there. Now, number 16, he sees the ball. He's going to go after it, but he gets blocked. So they're very fortunate that it was a screen pass.
I still think that Brock is going to have to get to the middle, short in the middle with crossing patterns, or a little bit offside there by Mr. Wilson.
Going deep for Stabler, incomplete. Good coverage by Carl Bracely. There was a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage. I think it was offside against Toronto.
Big Earl Wilson jumped the gun.
Dieter Brock knew it too. He had a free one and he was going to take advantage of it. He saw the guy jump offside. Now he's going to try to score.
Brock getting over to the bench, conferring with Coach Al Bruno before calling this second down play.
We'll watch the second man in from the top of your screen or the bottom of your screen there. Wilson jumping offside. Brock throws that ball about 60 yards in the air. Bracely is a tough guy to try to beat. He plays about as well as anybody.
2nd and 15. The ball is at the 54 of the Toronto Argonauts. Brock with time. Johnson does not make the catch.
That's the place that they got to get the football. Into the middle, in front of Currency, who's dropping back deep. It's wide open in there.
What you see is man-to-man coverage underneath with 2 men deep, and that means the middle is going to open up. There's not going to be anybody here. They'll clear out here, and they'll take Johnson and square him in. This linebacker will run out. It is wide open, and Dieter fires that ball and almost knocks Johnson down with it, but there is nobody in the middle of the field.
1:18 is the time remaining in the half. 8-3, the Toronto Argonauts lead.
Doesn't make much difference whether it's man for man or zone. Get it in that middle the way they look right here this afternoon. They're tough on the outside.
Carinci from his own 5-yard line. He runs it back to the 12 and is brought down there by Leon Liskevich. A 44-yard punt by Bernie Ruoff and a 7-yard return.
Well, the hell, I'm amazed. The Ticats have less than 100 yards in offense, and yet they're still very much in this ballgame.
Well, they've had some breaks, too, that they haven't been able to capitalize on. They got a couple of interceptions. They got that fumble of Shepard's that should have been turned over to the Argonauts. It was awarded to them. They had a couple of penalties which went their way. They should really be doing something with that football.
Defensively, as that statistic indicates, they have been playing well, limiting Toronto to just 126 yards. The screen pass. Greg Hall fumbles the ball. Picked up by Lester Brown.
Well, the Hamilton team just didn't see the ball come loose. It just rolled around there for a couple of seconds before anybody realized that that could have been dangerous for the Argonauts. And Bravo Bilovich is standing on the sideline saying, whoa, wait just a minute.
Well, Joe Gallant of the Montreal Concord can certainly tell you all about turnovers. He was the victim last Sunday afternoon of all those costly turnovers as his Concord lost to the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Eastern semifinal.
It so often happens in a playoff game. It's not a matter of who wins the game, it's who loses it.
Barnes throwing on the sideline for Terry Greer. He's got a first down up to the 39.
Well, you can't talk too much about a receiver like Terry Greer. Joe Barnes was running for his life, and Greer was covered like a blanket, and all of a sudden he came back to that sideline. Look, he knows Barnes is in trouble. Now he knows there's a tie cat here. He'll come right in front of him, catch a football. That's a good receiver.
Well, Darrell Best wasn't too far from that either. He was going in one direction, couldn't stop her. He may have been in position to intercept that ball.
Just 27 seconds remaining in the half. First and 10. The Argos at their own 37, throwing deep for Greer. It's incomplete. It was deflected by John Priester, I believe.
He dropped right back in there just perfectly. The blow was away, and he just dropped right straight back down those hash marks. Got himself in a perfect position to intercept that ball right through his hands.
19 seconds now remaining. 8-3 the score. Toronto in front. The only touchdown of the game scored by Lester Brown. Lester Brown gets the call, and he is back down by Leo Ezrin.
Boy, we talked before about Ezrin, but he is really having a great ball game. He was the last line of defense out there. He saw the run coming and just played the blocker from the outside, keeping it outside, and then just recovered it off of the block and made the tackle himself.
6'4", 242-pound Leo Ezrin, who started his football career as a tight end with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers after graduating from Whitworth College.
There was times, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, when Hamilton wasn't too sure he could play, and they were thinking about getting rid of him.
Yeah, last year. He even thought about retiring because he didn't fit in, and he decided in the offseason he wanted to play football, and he's had a great year, so I guess he made the right decision.
Third down punt will go out of bounds, and time has also expired here at CNE Stadium. And in a hard-fought struggle to determine the Eastern Championship, the Argos lead after 30 minutes by a score of 8-3. Now stay tuned for our halftime show.
Well, it's halftime. The Grey Cup champion Argonauts lead Hamilton 8-3. We'll talk live with Don Matthews and Cal Murphy. First of all, Bruce Winter brings us up to date on Grey Cup preparations in chilly Edmonton.
It's definitely winter in Edmonton, but don't despair, friends in the East. There will be enough action to keep you all warm during Grey Cup week. North and east of the Central Core, Commonwealth Stadium field is well protected from the elements, and the crews are getting rid of the snow inside the stadium.
Well, if we were playing the Grey Cup in Edmonton today, it'd be absolutely perfect. There is no wind in Commonwealth Stadium, which will take the chill factor down. The field is covered. Hot air is being blown underneath the tarpaulin here. The sun is out. It couldn't be better.
Outside the stadium, there is a huge tent that will house the television gear, 17 cameras in all for Grey Cup coverage on November the 18th, and CBC will be the place to be. Transportation will be fairly easy. A $10 pass will give you access to mass transit for the week. The new convention center is the focal point of all the activity, hosting the Grey Cup kickoff party on Wednesday and the Shenley Awards on Thursday. Where there may be problems, though, is in accommodation.
We've been booked out now for about 11 months. We don't have any rooms left, and I don't think there are any hotels in the city that have any rooms. There may be some in the outskirts, but I don't think there are any downtown.
Rooms will be a premium, but souvenirs will be plentiful, and the CFL marketing organization has control of that. The best gimmick, though, so far this week is the Grey Cup survival suit.
It's made out of 99% polypropylene. It has a metallic feel to it. And we have been told that it is the same material or a very similar material to that being used in the NASA spacesuits.
Well, being the skeptic that I am, I had to try out the Grey Cup survival suit, and I can honestly say that there is no cold air getting through the leg part, anyway. And had we done the jacket up tight, well, it'd be okay too. I've only got a suit jacket underneath, and I'm nice and warm. The Grey Cup survival suit, just one of the many gimmicks you'll see here in Edmonton for Grey Cup 84. Don't be bashful, come on out, it's going to be a good time. I'm Bruce Winter in Edmonton, now back to Brian Williams.
Our switcher, Barry Deller, Bruce, just said you could wear that next Halloween and go dressed up as a baked potato. Coming up, we are going to talk live with Don Matthews and Cal Murphy as CFL 84 continues. Welcome back to CFL Control. Joining us live from BC Place in Vancouver, Winnipeg coach Cal Murphy. Cal, an hour and a half to game time. What is the mood in the dressing room?
When you tell me it's an hour and a half till game time, I get nervous, Brian, but I think in the dressing room, our football players are ready to go. As a matter of fact, I think they're relaxing a little bit by watching the first half of that Argo-Hamilton game.
Cal, the last time you played under the Dome, they shut down your potent offense, in particular Willard Reeves. Have you made any changes to see that doesn't happen again today?
Well, we've tried to take advantage of some of the things that they will do with that type of defense. And one is get off the football and play better.
Can you pass against that Lions defense?
I think so. We did the first time we played them, and I think we'll do it again.
Let's talk about your defense. We so often concentrate on the Winnipeg offense. What do you do to shut down Tim Cowan?
Well, the first thing you have to do, I think, is you're going to have to play some doubles on Mervyn sometimes, mix up the coverages. The most important thing, I think, and that's the one thing we haven't done, is put a lot of heat on him. We're going to have to get up and maybe get to him a couple of times today and at least harass him, I think, a little bit more than we did last time. I hope we can do that. BC's got an awfully good offensive line. There's no question about it. They've got excellent personnel aside from Mervyn Fernandez on the offense, and they're a very difficult football team to shut down.
Cal, you've never won under the Dome in BC Place. Is that psyching out your players?
Oh, yeah, we won last year as coaches. We won the All-Star game.
Listen, what about the noise factor? That's all we've been hearing here in the East.
Well, we haven't said anything about it in Winnipeg since last Sunday afternoon. I'm not going to say anything about it now.
You got any earplugs handy?
I got them right here in my hand, and there's custom made. I got them from a guy by the name of Ivan Mellinson in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Put us onto a guy out here in White Rock, and they're custom made.
Cal, seriously, will your players be wearing your earplugs?
Yes, they will.
All right, thank you, Cal.
Not all, but most.
All right, thank you, Cal. Good luck this afternoon. Coming up, when we return, we will talk live with BC Lions head coach Don Matthews. Stay with us as CFL 84 continues. Welcome back to CFL Control. We've just talked live with Cal Murphy, the Winnipeg coach. I see standing by under the Dome in Vancouver is Lions head coach Don Matthews. Don, you really seem to have Winnipeg's number.
You know, I'd really like to think that it's true, but I don't think anything that's happened in the past is going to have any bearing on what's going on today. I think Winnipeg's really fired up there. I feel an excellent football team. I think it's going to be one in the trenches, and defense and special teams are going to control the game.
Don, speaking of defense, the last time you met, you shut down Winnipeg, in particular Willard Reeves, and obviously Murphy's going to adjust for that. What are you going to do differently today on defense to shut down that Winnipeg offense?
Well, I think the thing that we did last time is we played with great intensity, and I think the key to Winnipeg's offense certainly has to be Tom Clements, because he is such a great quality football player. You have to wrap up Willard Reeves because he'll break a tackle and make a bad play into a good one. And, you know, if you can control those things and then fly around to the ball and play that intense football like we did on defense, then we've got a chance. Our defense has played well all year, and as long as you've got that great defense, you have a chance to win every football game you play.
Don, tell us about your quarterback, Tim Cowan. When Roy DeWalt went down against the Argonauts, many of us, I have to admit, were writing off the BC Lions.
Well, I think that we're more than a one-man football team. I think our defense has, as I said, kept us in many games, but Tim Cowan is really an exceptional young man. He's handled the pressure situation very well. I thought that we've been fortunate with his development. We haven't had to put him into very many negative situations, and he's been called upon to start 4 times. We've won all 4 football games, so he really is playing with more confidence than most second-year football players, and we're just delighted with his progress.
He's played with confidence till now. It's the Western Final. Are you at all concerned about his inexperience?
Well, I think that the magnitude of the last Winnipeg game was so large that it was very similar to a playoff game. It was playoff atmosphere around here. It was a sold-out crowd. It was an important game for the fact that it was for the first place title, see who hosts the Western Final, which we feel is an advantage to be the host team. So I think that experience in itself is going to make Tim Cowan a better football player in this game.
All right, Don Matthews, thank you. I know you want to get back to the dressing room again. Thank you for joining us live today from BC Place. And stay with us. We will have the second half. Toronto leads Hamilton 8-3 as CFL 84 continues.
8-3, the Toronto Argonauts lead the Hamilton Tiger Cats with 30 minutes remaining in this Eastern Championship game. Leo and Ron, what do you look for in the second half?
I think an early indication, Ron, is going to be important here. Who sets the tempo right early in this third quarter could be the determining factor in the game.
Sure is. Anytime you start the third quarter, it's just like starting the ball game. Somebody has got to take control. Toronto had it early, but boy, they never took advantage. If you look at the stats, you think they'd be way out in front, but 8-3 is not much of a lead.
150 yards net offense for the Argos, just 37 yards for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Yes, they won a game last week, the Eastern semifinal, with less than 100 yards against the Montreal Concord. The Concord had 250 yards. Big kickoff again by Hank Ellison. Rufus Crawford is blocked at the 19-yard line by Mike Emery.
Boy, that was a great play by Emery. He got blocked twice, and the second block bounced him right into Crawford.
Mike Emery, basically a backup, working on those special teams, coming up with the big tackle. The UBC graduate got in to drop Rufus Crawford back on the 19 after a 62-yard kickoff by Hank Ellison. And Paul Pearson has those shoulder pads on. It looks as though he's set to go back in there.
There's something wrong. It looks like they're missing a man out there. That's what Brock was hollering about. They're missing a slot back.
They get Brad Gagnola, and Brad Gagnola has a pickup of about 4 yards. There's also a penalty flag in the play.
Well, I'd certainly like to see these officials let them play the ball game, but they've got to call them, I guess, when they see things like motion and...
Steve Kearns wasn't in the ball game. They were missing the slot back.
Procedure. Hamilton, no end. Decline. Second down. Those are the types of mistakes that cause coaches to turn gray.
Yeah, you go over that all week. You just don't expect that. Ron Johnson's the guy that was missing. Kearns went in for him there, but they was missing their wideout. That's why they had no end. As a result, that's why the penalty.
There's an injured Toronto Argonaut. Earl Wilson is down on one knee, and as a result, Peter Brock hustles over to that Hamilton bench to confer with Al Bruno. Earl Wilson appears to be favoring that left arm and shoulder as he heads off to the Argonaut bench. But what surprised me is that Paul Pearson does have those pads back on after having that shoulder pop out earlier. Now Franklin King is going to see some two-way duty. He is playing offensive guard, and he has now moved into that defensive tackle spot vacated by Wilson. On second down, sideline pattern, Ron Johnson unable to make the catch.
Well, they were excellently covered downfield by Toronto. Dieter threw it the only place he could. Hoped that Ron Johnson could turn around, catch him, keep his feet in bounds. But that's awful hard to do on a day like today.
There really appears to be some confusion over at that Hamilton bench. Steve Stapler was not on the field for that particular play. And now they're working on Earl Wilson over at that Toronto bench. They're down Hamilton, a big rush, and a great kick by Ruoff. Chases Carinci all the way back to his 24-yard line, and he gets to the 27, where he's stopped by Mike McIntyre.
Well, we talked to Bernie Ruoff before the game, and we're congratulating him on the outstanding game that he had last week against Montreal. That was a 63-yard punt there, and he has just been fantastic this whole day. And on a bad field, a guy that can do that is really doing a service for his team.
After the success he had in kicking in the rain against Montreal, Ron Lancaster and I were accusing him of bringing out the hose to water down this field, although he really doesn't need much help because Mother Nature did the job. Paul Pearson back in there. Joe Barnes continues at quarterback. Emmanuel Probert is forced out of bounds at the 34. Forced out by Felix Wright.
I was going to say, down that Bobo Bilovich must have got a weather report during the half because he gave Hamilton both the ball and the wind in that third quarter, hoping to get the wind in the fourth quarter, and there must be some indication that the wind is going to pick up, and we see a little bit of movement on the flags right now, and that could be a factor.
Second and 5 for the Argos from their own 34. Screen pass to Terry Greer. He has the first down. Tackled by Leo Ezrin.
It was just a good job by Ezrin stepping around that blocker because Greer had a seam. And if he would have had 2 more steps, he would have been gone.
Well, if you want to sit back in that zone defense, you're going to allow him to throw that quick pass. And then you've got to recover in a hurry. And you can see Ezrin come. He just manages to get him, and he did have a seam.
The Argos have had a lot of success with that screen to Greer this afternoon. First and 10 from the 43. The Argos in front, 8 plays. Incomplete. Greer was the intended receiver.
Boy, he was wide open, too.
Down to the Hamilton bench now, and Vic Router.
John, Steve Stapler probably gone for the game. He has a separated shoulder, what is believed to be a separated shoulder, and he will not return. He hasn't even come out to the bench, and it is really starting to rain now on the down on the field.
All right, Vic, well, that certainly answers our query as to Steve Stapler and perhaps accounts for some of the confusion with the Hamilton Tiger Cats running their offense, being short a player out there for their first series. Penalty flag as Tillman wraps up Joe Barnes for a loss of 3.
Boy, you know, that's a bad blow to the Hamilton team, too, to have Stapler out there because Johnson looks like he's only about 50% effective in the last couple series of plays. If they got both their wide receivers hurt, that's a real imposition on them for a whole half to play.
Gilman, a late season addition to the Ticats, dropping Barnes for the loss. The penalty was a holding call against Toronto, declined, and Hank Olisic goes back to punt now at his own 26-yard line.
Those times earlier in the season when teams thought that they could block kicks on Olisic, Hamilton hasn't really come with a big rush yet, but now they got the hold up again. They're going to go back and try the return.
And bounce back. The kick is going to bounce back to the line of scrimmage. Paul Bennett, looking to see who's coming in, picks the ball up when he saw that Olisic was one of the blue jerseys streaking in on that football. 11:48 is the time remaining in the third quarter. The Argos lead by 5. Well, as Ron Lancaster pointed out during the break, the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the exchange of kicks picked up about 40 yards in field position.
Well, you fight for real estate. That field position is the whole key to a playoff game or any game for that matter. You can't give up 40 yards on it every time you kick the football.
Well, of course, that was a 63-yard punt by Bernie Ruoff. Hank Olisic's kick traveled just 25 yards. The pitch to Rufus Crawford. Now he's not going to go anywhere. The Argos have played very strongly defensively. They have limited this Ticat offense to less than 50 yards.
Well, we said all year that the Toronto offense gets most of the ink, but boy, when you get right down to the bottom line, this Toronto defense can play with anybody, and they're proving it once again today.
Second and 9, Hamilton. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Penalty flag. Pass to DiPietro. He goes out of bounds and almost takes our cameraman, Al Alfred, with him. There was an offside call against the Argos. DiPietro came very close to picking up a first down. And I believe the Ticats are going to take the game.
Dieter Brock is one of the stronger people
Offside,
in the whole league.
Toronto number 78. Decline. First down.
When it comes to the quarterback sneak, and you know that it was really close. Well, he got the first down, so they don't have to worry about the quarterback sneak.
8-3, the Argos lead. 10:57 remaining in the third quarter. First and 10. The ball is at the 51. Swing pass to Johnny Shepard. He is forced out of bounds by Dennis Clay. Ron, what about the strategy of the Hamilton Tiger Cats? It appears as though Brock is trying to set up those screens and little swing passes.
Well, what they're doing is Toronto's going to drop back, and they're taking away the short passes. They're forcing him to throw to his outlet man. And anytime you're throwing to your outlet man, you're in trouble because you're going to catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage, as you saw there. Johnny Shepard ran a long way and gained 1 yard.
So that intermediate pattern in between the linebackers and the D-backs is the one that's open.
Pass was intended for DiPietro with a good defensive play by Doug Battershill to knock it down.
What you see here on what they do on this particular play, they're giving him a look, a weird, looks like it's going to be a zone look, but right here, he's covering him man to man. He's going down and breaks to the outside, and watch Battershill. He will turn and run with him. See, he turns. Now, he's got him man to man, and when Brock tries to throw the out, he dives in front and gets his hand on the football. That's good play.
On that play, too, they had a crossing pattern. And I think if they throw that crossing pattern with just Mitchell in there at the middle linebacker spot, they got a chance of completing it.
Another big kick by Bernie Ruoff. It could go for a single point. It goes through the end zone. So it's now an 8-4 ball game, and Bernie Ruoff has accounted for all 4 Hamilton points. As a matter of fact, he's just about been their total offensive production.
Well, just as in the early part of the game, the Ticats gave up a single point to get that field position out to the 35-yard line. Toronto takes no chances here. Why start at your goal line? They've got to get field position and get their offense going. They've been shut down a little bit the farther the first half went and into this third quarter. So they want to start with field position.
And those the flags are beginning to just rustle a little bit up there. Looks like the wind is picking up, and there will be an advantage in the fourth quarter for the Argos. So the Ticats have got to get some points on the board this third quarter.
First and 10 from the 35. Barnes completes the pass to Terry Greer. He has a pickup for 4 yards. It will be second and 6. And again, the tackle was made by number 72, Leo Ezra. Dan Ferrone, the Eastern nominee this year for the Shenley Award, is the outstanding lineman in that category. He'll be opposed by John Bonk of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And you'll see the Shenley Awards, a live presentation on CBC television on Thursday night. We hope you'll join us for the coverage of that. Penalty flag, and Barnes is going to run for the first down, but I think it'll be called back by a holding violation.
No doubt about it. When you see that man throw the flag, there's the signal. It's holding every time, and boy, there's been a lot of those today.
And a lot of Toronto Argonaut players have suffered some minor hurts this afternoon, including Earl Wilson. Doug Battershill also shaken up on the very first play of the game.
Holding, Toronto number 56, second down repeated.
That's on Beckstead, and he's beside himself. He is really taking issue with the official on that, said that he didn't hold on it, but that's to no avail. You don't win with the officials, so forget about it. Save your breath.
Back at the 30-yard line now, it's second and 16. Penalty flag as there was movement by Mitchell Price. A free one for Joe Barnes. He's got some blocking out in front of him. He'll get the first down.
Well, Barnes looks downfield. He's got everybody to the wide side. Now he says, the heck with it. He's got 2 blue jerseys downfield in front of him. He says, I can run.
Now another report from the Hamilton bench with Vic Router.
Receiver Ron Johnson, you seemed to have that middle open first half, but now they seem to have taken it away, and you've got to go to the little outlet passes.
Well, that's what they do. They're trying to block our passes to the backs. Now we might go ahead and try and get in the middle a little bit later on in the game. But
well, the problem is when you do that, you're always behind the line of scrimmage when you hit the ball.
Well, yeah, but you know, Johnny Shepard, he's a very talented back, and I'm sure that he's going to hit some big plays for us pretty soon.
They counter inside with the slot back, Paul Pearson. He took quite a hit. However, he is back and heading to the huddle, and he, you may recall, told us he suffered a separated shoulder.
What they've been doing is they've been dropping those linebackers, but what's Ben Zambiazzi, he steps up in the hole, and he's there to make the hit on him right now. Number 31, who's throwing to block him, he bounces right through clean, and he puts the hit on him. They have been dropping him, and the Argonauts were counting on it, and he didn't do it.
Screen to clear. He's got a first down. There's also a penalty flag on the play. And I think this call may go against the Argos. It appeared as though Lester Brown got in there with an illegal block.
Looks like Flag Day out here.
Things are getting a little bit emotional out there right now, and this is the time that your captain on defense and offense has got to say to the rest of the players, settle down. Because when you lose your poise in a situation like this, arguing over an official's call or something, you're in a lot of trouble.
Dan Ferrone protesting the referee Bud Eldrick, but to no avail.
Illegal interference. Toronto, second down and 10.
Lester Brown reached out and grabbed Gerald Bassett. He tried to get into the play.
Well, another thing, too, you can't block down Gillick until the ball is caught. He's going out and throwing a block at best before Greer's catching the football.
Terry Greer hasn't even gone to the hunt.
Snaps real quick and slow.
He's way out wide right.
They could have done it that time too, because Bess was in talking to his safety.
Lester Brown, and he's knocked down by Leo Ezra. What a game he has played on the Toronto bench or in the Appagana.
Don Earl Wilson, one of the defensive stars, they're really hitting hard out there. Everything seems to be hit.
Well, we have to hit, you know, try to win the ball game. I think that's the only way we'll be able to win the ball game. If we go out there and hit people, there is no after about the game. You know, we'll take care of itself, and I think the only thing we can do is hit and try to get back in the backfield to change either block and not give you so much time.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, man.
Big ball player, Don. Yes, indeed, and it's been quite a defensive struggle, Ernie, with 7:16 remaining. And Ben Zambiazzi, the cookie man of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, shaken up on that last play. Zambiazzi moved to the middle linebacking position following an injury to John Priestner earlier in the year. When Priestner returned, they felt they were most effective with Priestner outside and Zambiazzi remaining in the middle.
Well, Mr. Ballard felt that way, but I don't think the coaches felt that way. Zambiazzi was a middle linebacker in college, but he really isn't big enough to play in there and sustain the running game. And Priestner is more of a middle linebacker type, and that's the way they should play it.
Good high kick by Hank Electric. Penalty flag is in, and this is Crawford. On the return is dropped at the 24, and this almost certainly will be a no-yards call against the Toronto Argonauts. We've got 6:54 remaining in the third quarter.
Today, we'll be at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The thrill of it all provides the build-up to the game itself at 3 Eastern. Grey Cup 84, CBC, the place to be.
Yes, indeed, and we hope you'll be joining us on CBC television for all the excitement of Grey Cup 84. You know, with the number of players that have gone down in this game, whoever represents the East is going to be banged up for that Grey Cup championship.
Well, this is why the coaches are always talking about they need more players on their roster. Football's a physical game. You play 16 and you play in cold weather, it is tough.
1st and 10 from the 35. A no-yards call against the Toronto Argonauts as Mark Bragagnola drives up to the 39-yard line. And Don Moan, the Toronto linebacker, lost his helmet on the play. Dieter Brock completing 50% of his passes for just 67 yards. And Joe Barnes, although he has completed 63%, has passed for only 53 yards.
Well, that middle is wide open.
2nd and 6, and DiPietro has the first down as he's taken out of bounds at the 51. You know, this game, with the weather conditions developing the way they are, somewhat reminiscent of the Grey Cup game of 2 years ago between Edmonton and Toronto.
Boy, it sure is, because the rain is starting to become a factor, and as it did in that game in the second half of the ball game. And when it happened, the Toronto Argonaut offense was shut down. It's not geared for bad weather.
1st and 10 from the 51, over the middle, the pass complete for the first down to Rufus Crawford. 5:31 is the time remaining in the 3rd quarter.
You see Dieter come back here, and again he's looking into the middle. Gets the ball in there right on the money to Rufus. And Rufus tries to make a first down out of it, but may have given up the first down. And he did give up the first down, and it's 2nd and just about a yard to go.
What about a little play action here? Brock tried it earlier. He gives to Bragagnola. He wants to make sure of the first down. He fumbled the football, but I believe Hamilton recovered.
The ball may have gone back to where it's not a first down again, though. He had the first down, but he let the ball go loose. We'll have to see where they lay it down.
We're informed that Ben Zambiazzi at that middle linebacking position suffered a groin pull, but will be returning to the game. You were absolutely right, Leo. Bragagnola did have the first down, but when he fumbled the football and Hamilton recovered, they were about 2.5 feet short of the first down.
Well, there's only one play here, and that's Dieter Brock on a quarterback sneak. This is an important play in this ball game with this field position. They want this first down. Giving the ball back into the backfield might make them lose it, but taking it himself will guarantee. Yeah, he's got it.
Brock is certainly one of the better quarterback sneakers in the entire league.
Just mainly because of his strength. Awful strong. That line comes off, and when that line makes contact, even with a standstill, see Mike Hamlock getting a little bit of work on his ankle. He's got to play. He's their long snapper for the punts. They need him. But as I was saying, if you get a standstill on that offensive defensive line, a guy with Brock's strength will make the yard.
Brock simply following in behind center Henry Waschuk to pick up the first down. Brock's pass falling short of the intended target as Rufus Crawford, as the man the pass was intended for, and Vince Goldsmith appeared to hit Brock just as he threw.
Well, Brock hasn't had much protection, but boy, he looks like Mr. Cool out there. Not faulting his offensive line. He knows he's got a bunch of young guys in there that haven't played together that long.
4 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. 8-4, the Toronto Argonauts lead the Hamilton Tiger Cats. What a year Rufus Crawford had, putting his name into the record book, erasing a mark established by Hal Patterson back in 1956. Brock's pass again knocked down at the line of scrimmage.
Boy, DiPietro was wide open in the middle, and Brock's on, but that man, Earl Wilson, just reached up and batted it down. Boy, DiPietro was wide open. Somebody blew the coverage because no one near him.
I have never seen the middle so wide open in any one given game as it looks like it is here. And if he led him out there was nobody left. It was a touchdown.
Bernie Ruoff is going to try a 56-yard field goal. Remember, he hit from 47 yards earlier. It's going to make it!
Holy mackerel.
So now we've got a one-point ball game in this Eastern Championship game here at CNE Stadium.
Welcome back. Bernie Ruoff, 56 yards, and now it's just a one-point ball game.
You know, I don't know. It's just keep working, and if it comes down to kicking, hopefully I can do good enough. Hey, we're working hard. Offense having a little trouble, but our defense playing a hell of a game, and maybe it'll come down to me. Eh? I'm an old man. I got to get to that Grey Cup soon. And hello, Mom and Dad. Okay. Thank you.
You know, when you talk about getting to a Grey Cup, there are only a few Hamilton players who have ever been there, 5 to be exact. 4 of them made it in 1980. Ruoff was one of them. Terry Greer makes the catch up to the 53-yard line, first down Toronto.
What they do is they take the curl here and they bring Terry Greer down into the hole. And when he comes out, the linebacker runs out and that opens it up. But that's just a great catch because watch Paul Bennett come just as the ball arrives.
It's not too open. There's three Tiger Cat jerseys around it, but it was perfectly thrown. Great concentration by Greer.
First and 10 from the 53. Deep for Paul Pearson. Pick off. Golden strike. That's his third of the ball game. He fumbles the ball. It's recovered by Gerald Dash.
And you know the amazing part about him fumbling that football was just before contact was made, he had the good judgment to put both hands on the ball, anticipating getting hit, and it still got knocked loose.
That's the third interception of the game for Felix Wright.
Watch Felix intercept it right here. Now he starts back, and watch when they close in on him after he picks up this block. Put both hands on the ball. He has both hands on the ball and still gets knocked out. Gerald Best gets on it.
First and 10. The ball is at the 40-yard line. Swing pass to Bridget Miller. And Dennis Clay brings him down. Comes up with the football, but again, they're ruling the play was whistled there.
That kind of pass looks good, Don, but he only gained a matter of inches. I mean, he didn't get a full yard out of that.
They've got to get the ball down the middle. They've got to throw it in behind the linebackers and in front of Jan Carinci, who's getting a lot of depth.
Brock's in trouble. James Curry with his 4th sack of the day.
And Brock's hurt. Peter Brock very slow getting up, too. That's a bad sign. Well, let's take a look at it. Peter Brock's the man that they've got to have, but number 74 and Vince Goldsmith, they get that leg buckled under Brock when he fell, and he's not moving very well at all. In fact, he's back down.
There have been some outstanding individual performances defensively on both teams. James Curry now with his 4th sack. Felix Wright with 3 interceptions. And Brock is hurt. In case you were wondering, that 56-yard field goal by Bernie Ruoff is a playoff record in the CFL. The old standard 52 yards by Dave Cutler in the 1975 game as Edmonton played Montreal. Dieter Brock, a few years ago with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, suffered an injury to the right knee, and it appears as he limps off to the bench that he is favoring that right knee again, or ankle.
I would think it'd be his ankle from the way he went down. All the pressure seems to be from Goldsmith's shoulder pads on his ankle. But I'll tell you one thing, that's the right leg when you have to plan it to throw.
He'll walk it off. He'll be back in there.
Well, he's tough.
Third down kick by Bernie Ruoff in an 8-7 ball game. Carl Brazeley knocked down at the 35, a 49-yard kick by Bernie Ruoff. Over on the Toronto bench, here's Ernie.
Don, as you mentioned, James Curry just having one tremendous football game. Everybody's fired up on this ball club. I've never seen them this fired up, James.
Well, we look at it this way. It's a bad weather game. Defense is going to have to shine today. Offense point production is going to be very low. And we plan on coming out here shutting Dieter and his offense down because they didn't respect us during the week. And we want them to respect us after the day is over.
You're going to get it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sounded like Muhammad Ali asking for respect over there on the sideline.
I know one thing. They respect the job that James Curry has done at that defensive tackle position. 44 seconds remaining in the third quarter. From the 35, first and 10. Toronto leading 8-7. Deep for Stover, picked off by Felix White. That's his fourth interception.
Well, that's a fantastic job. You want to talk about playing center field. Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, nobody ever played it better than he's played it this afternoon.
Boy, he goes to that football when it's in the air, Leo, and that's all you can ask out of any defensive back.
Boy, selecting that Cardinal Chief defensive game star is going to be a task this afternoon.
Well, I can't remember anybody in playoff play ever intercepting 4 passes.
You're right, Brock, right back in the ballgame.
Defense has been the key this afternoon, both ways. Brock is back in there. His pass is sent to Rocky DiPietro. He was being covered by Carl Braisley.
Well, the last time the Ticats threw that, he caught him in a man-to-man defense when he had him DiPietro wide open. This time they went to a zone and Carl Braisley was just waiting on it.
The key still this afternoon might be Ron Johnson on the outside. If they can get him a deep pass with his speed, he's got a chance to break the ball game wide open.
It's second and 10. The ball is at the 53. Little swing pass to Johnny Shepard. He came very close to getting that first down. He's about a yard shy, and that is also the final play of the third quarter. So with 15 minutes remaining here at PNE Stadium, it's a one-point ball game. Well, to start the fourth quarter on third and a yard and a half, the Ticats are punting. Bernie Ruoff standing at his own 50-yard line. We could have a tie ball game. Carinci fumbling in the end zone. He covers up, and it's tied at 8.
Donnie caught that ball clean, and I thought, why would you say we could have a tie ball game? He'll run 15 yards with it, but he fumbled the ball, so you must have known something.
Bernie Ruoff responsible for all 8 Hamilton points. 45 yards on that third down punt for the single point.
And this program is copyrighted and strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
Well, those who predicted that this would be a tough defensive struggle certainly knew what they were talking about. It has been that and more. Lester Brown is forced out of bounds. John Priestner came across to cover as Lester Brown came out of the backfield. It's a gain of about 7 yards. It's amazing that the Ticats are in it with only 76 yards net offense.
Well, they always say statistics are for losers, and the final score is the only thing that counts.
Come on, you guys, let's go. Let's get back.
It will be second and 3, and this is where the Ticats have proven very tough this afternoon on those second down situations. They do it again. Covington makes the stop as they try and counter with the slot back, Emmanuel Tolbert. Leo Ezerins came in from underneath. Well, Dieter Brock, with one flick of his wrist, can certainly put a team in position to score. And defensively, Leo Ezerins, what a ball game he has played.
Well, we've seen so many outstanding performances. Felix Wright, James Curry, Leo Ezerins, and that's the way it should be. In the rain and the cold, the defense has got to be big.
And game such as this, we should almost give out 2 Carling O'Keefe Defensive Game Star Awards. Angelisic's third down kick. Taken by Rufus Crawford, stopped immediately at the 25-yard line. 13:32 is the time remaining in this Eastern Championship with the score tied at 8. The game is tied at 8 with 13:32 remaining. Some outstanding individual defensive performances. Felix Wright of the Hamilton Tiger Cats with 4 interceptions this afternoon. I wonder if either of you know what the record is in a single game in the playoffs. Standing by, Felix Wright with Vic Rowder.
I think I'm going to have to take my gloves off to keep count. 4 interceptions. What a game.
I don't know. The Lord's with me today. I can't thank him, too much. I want to go out and get another one now and help the team out a little more.
Defense has been so good.
Yeah, if the offense can get us a little bit more field position, we'll be all right.
Defense has been very good on both sides of the ball. The Toronto Argonauts have played exceptionally well. The record for interceptions in one playoff game is 5.
I don't know if everybody's noticed this or not, Don, but we've had a steady downpour now for almost the entire second half. The field is getting water sitting on it, and it's just going to be a situation right now where the team that makes the mistake in this part of the field down here could be the team to lose.
There's the pass complete over the middle to Wayne Lee. He's got a first down. You're not even interested, Leo, are you, in who holds that record?
I thought I'd ask.
Bud Grant.
Is that right?
That little slant pattern, that cross, but finally he holds it long enough and right down the middle.
Boy, that middle is
2D zone, he's wide open.
Back in 1953, Bud Grant, playing both ways for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, intercepted 5 passes against the Edmonton Eskimos.
Boy, he's a great athlete.
Screen pass to Rufus Crawford. He fights his way up to the 45-yard line. Again, the ball squirted away, but they ruled it was whistled dead. Players were out on the field screaming at the officials, but I don't think there's any doubt on this one that Crawford was down.
Definitely down. And Bob O'Bilovich showed great judgment on that too. He went right out there and got those players and said, get over here on the sidelines and start thinking about what you're going to do when you get back in that ball game and quit losing your poise.
11:27 the time left. Incomplete. He was looking for Wayne Lee again. Lee is in there in place of Steve Stapler, and Doug Batterfield deflected it away.
Well, you can see that thing opening up. Looked like it was hitting right in the chest, and all of a sudden Batterfield came out of nowhere.
You think it's a fair statement, Ron, to say at this stage of the ball game, 11 minutes left, the field under about a half an inch of rain, that the team that makes the mistake is the team that's going to lose?
Yeah, that's about the way it's come down through the whole football game, and the closer you get to the end, the more that becomes evident. This is the time you don't want mistakes and turnovers. They'll kill you.
Nobody's going to sustain the football, so it's just going to be exchange and punt, pay field position, and don't make any mistakes.
Just one man back, and that's Jan Corinthi at his 20-yard line. And he is stopped at the 32 by Don Friesner. We've got 11 minutes remaining in a tied Eastern Conference Championship game.
Catch all the excitement of Grey Cup Week, beginning with the Shenley Awards Thursday, 8 local, 9 Atlantic, 9:30 in Newfoundland. Saturday, the parade from Edmonton, the Winter Fair from Toronto, then, of course, the big day itself. CBC, the place to be.
48,414 watching the action this afternoon at CNE Stadium, and what a defensive struggle they have witnessed. Screen pass to Terry Greer, and they were ready for it. Mark Streeter almost snuck in behind him to pick it off.
Well, I think they've seen that before today, haven't they?
It was very close to being a lateral. You got to play it safe when that ball's thrown out there that close to a lateral and get on it.
Again, let's go down to the Hamilton bench and Vic Rowder.
And center Henry Waschuk, you told us, or we heard all week, you've got to give Dieter time to throw. Have you given him the time today?
Well, we had a really bad first quarter. Second quarter, we sort of got our confidence back. We've got some problems on the offensive line with some injuries. So what we're trying to do right now is just try to play solid because we're not making any mistakes. The footing's really bad and the ball's really wet. So we're trying to make the least amount of mistakes and, just trying to give him that protection that he needs.
The team that makes the mistakes just might lose.
Well, that's right. It's a very tight ball game and it's a defensive struggle. What we've got to do is go out there right now and score some points.
Pass knocked down by Gerald Best, so it's 3rd and 10 now. The Toronto Argonauts with the favoring wind in this fourth quarter, 10-10 the time remaining.
They're not taking any chances. They're putting the return on.
Good kick by Olympic. Crawford at the 29. Only a 2-yard return as Steve Ackroyd brought him down after that 50-yard punt by Hank Olympic. We've got 9:57 remaining. And picking those game stars in this one is really going to be tough. But the recipients will be receiving the Carlsberg Award, which is a cash prize of $500, courtesy of Carling O'Keefe. While we're talking about those Carling O'Keefe game stars, next week in Grey Cup 84, the outstanding offensive player will receive a brand new 1985 Ford Thunderbird, the outstanding defensive player, a 1985 Mercury Cougar, and the outstanding Canadian will get a 1985 Ford Bronco. The pass is incomplete, as it is intended for Wayne Lee. It's 2nd and 10 Hamilton from the 30-yard line.
And the field conditions are starting to prevail down there. Wayne Lee went down, curled to the inside, was open on the play. Dieter had to throw hurriedly, but both feet went out from under him. He just couldn't stand on his feet. That was a big play by Ackroyd going down there and making that tackle, and then punt return too.
Well, the rain started falling partway through the first quarter, and it has been coming down constantly since then. The pass is picked off by Corinthi, but there's a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage.
Doesn't make any difference. There was a shot at that defender offside. It looked like Earl Wilson.
Well, we said a mistake. That's a little one, but it's a mistake because they give up field position at the 30-yard line.
The pass was intended for Ron Johnson, and Bob Obilovich with a look of resignation at that Toronto Argonaut bench.
Offside, Toronto, number 58, 2nd down repeated.
The thing that amazes me is he's right over the ball. How can you be offside?
Well, I'll tell you what, any line coach that's ever coached the game will kill a guy for doing that. Bad enough when you're way outside to jump off sides, but when you're right over that ball, all you got to do is watch the ball.
2nd down draw play, flag ignored, struck right through the tracks by William Mitchell. I'll tell you, the way this game is going, we could be heading to overtime.
It's going to take a mistake, as we've said many times. It's going to cost somebody this ball game. But that is a great defensive play. Once again, a draw play on 2nd down, try to get that 1st down, but what's the hit? Bang! William Mitchell met him head on. And you're exactly right. Something's going to happen to change it, or we will head to overtime because they're just going to play in the middle of the field.
Well, the Argos have been coming close on this, rushing this kicker, and it looks like they're going to be coming again. We'll see whether they get close to him again.
What a kick by Bernie Ruoff. Corinthi goes all the way back to his own 17-yard line. And he is brought down at the 28. A 58-yard kick by Bernie Ruoff, a run back of 11 with 8:34 remaining in the game.
Standing game, an interception, and there's a tough break that didn't count really.
Yeah, I saw one of our guys on the front line jump offside, so it was kind of hard, but you got to make the play anyway. You never know when referee's not going to make the right call.
That's right.
Yeah.
You seem to be able to control Dieter today. You seem to have him in touch.
Under these conditions, it's tough for any quarterback. He's doing a pretty good job
given the conditions. But we're just trying to go out there, play tough defense, hit people, and hope things go our way.
So well of a game and lots more to go.
All right, high Terps, go, baby.
Okay, Don.
Ernie Gerald Bess had Terry Greer all wrapped up at the 30-yard line after a pickup of just 2 yards. That's the 9th time that Greer has made a catch this afternoon. He has almost single-handedly been the Argonaut offense.
Well, he has found the holes down there. But you know what? They've got to go to somebody else. He can't do it all. He's trying to, though.
Second down play from the 30. The score is tied at 8. Intended for Pearson, incomplete. Well, the Argonauts are now into a kicking situation.
Ron, as you said, with the way that Bernie Ruoff is kicking here this afternoon, the Ticats are gaining ground every time the ball changes on a punt.
Boy, you don't want to get in a kicking contest with him the last 2 weeks.
The other thing that surprises me a little bit is that little screen that they've had up the middle of the Bronx. As deep as the linebackers are playing for Hamilton, and with that 4-man rush trying to put all the pressure on, that looked like it'd be a real good play against the Ticats today.
And it's a safe play, and they may need it.
Kalisic has averaged 41.3 yards per punt this afternoon. An end-over-end boot, but he gets good distance out of it. Taken by Crawford at the 35. He finds a bit of a hole, and he gets to the 50-yard line. Upset there by Steve Ackroyd, but Crawford is hurt. Conrad Holloway is warming up at the Toronto bench. He was injured in the second quarter.
Well, I'll tell you, if you think this isn't a physical game, almost every play somebody gets up slow. And that's what football's all about when you get to this stage of the season.
Rufus Crawford came down heavily when he was upended by Ackroyd. On the previous series of downs, he had been shaken up, but I think he lands on his right hip. He, of course, is the Eastern nominee for the Shenley Award as the outstanding player in the Canadian Football League, and on Thursday night, either Rufus Crawford or Willard Reeves of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will accept the trophy and the cash prize as the recipient of that award. Well, it's getting difficult to see the CNE Tower from our vantage point here at the CNE Stadium. CN Tower now with cloud covering the top of the structure, and the weather forecast today indicates that we may have snow before these clouds pass over.
Rufus Crawford's up on his feet walking off the field, and knowing him, he'll be back in there.
Next play.
Steve Kearns is in there in his place. Dumping it off to Shepard, looking for that block, and he gets to the 51, very close to a first down.
Now look at who's going back in the ball game. Number 21, Rufus Crawford.
Crawford is back in. Steve Kearns goes to the bench.
Little screen pass. Send them receivers down, set up the screen to Shepard. Picks up some good blockers. He's got those white jerseys in front of him, and then he just goes straight ahead until he's finally tackled from behind. But they're going to measure for that first down, and those Ticats are almost to Ruoff's range.
6:41 is the time remaining. The score is tied at 8 in this Eastern Championship game. During regular season play, the teams split. On October 27th, Hamilton won 25-20. After losing at home on August the 12th, 30-22. Last year, these same two teams staged a dramatic Eastern final, won 41-36 by the Argonauts. Second and inches. Dragignola gets the first down as he's inside the Toronto 50.
Boy, at this stage of the ball game with 6:19 left and the clock running and Dieter Brock at the helm, it doesn't take many people in skilled positions to get close to that goal line to either kick the field goal or get in and score, because Dieter can do it.
Burns has gone back into the ball game, replacing Rufus Crawford. First and 10 from just inside the Toronto 50. Pass is knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Vince Goldsmith.
Well, that could have been that play that the Argos, that break that they were been playing for all afternoon, and their defense has been playing brilliantly. That ball was up in the air, and if that could have been picked off, it could have been a big play for them.
Second time today, Vince Goldsmith's been able to block a pass. Well, he's right on top of him, too.
He put too much wood on that ball. If he would have flicked it a little bit lighter, it would have been straight up in the air, and maybe one of those blue shirts could have had it.
It's now second and 10 Hamilton with 5:42 remaining. The score tied at 8. Just inside the 50.
A big play here, Don.
Penalty flag. The pass is incomplete. Actually, Wayne Lee did quite a job of preventing play from intercepting. Offside, Hamilton.
Leo, we're going to get offside. Are you going to take the penalty or are you going to decline it?
Second down. I'll take a penalty.
Well, you give
Offside, Hamilton number 17, declined, third down.
They're going to decline it. Well, it might have been a good play on their part right there, but it was if they took the penalty, and either got close enough to kick that field goal, it might have been bad.
Up at the top of the screen, the receiver dumped across the line of scrimmage prior to the ball being snapped.
They've only got one guy back there now. If he could get the ball away from him, they could get a point out of this.
Big kick again by Rua. Terenzi takes it at the 1-yard line. And he gets it back to the 10.
Well, there's some hitting down there on that field. One guy hit him, one guy stood him up, the other guy blindsided him, and two other guys came in and finished up on him. Which is going back into the ball game.
The reaction from the crowd with Conrad's Holloway coming into the ball game with 5:04 remaining. But the Argos have been steadily backing up towards their own goal line. They've been losing on each exchange just a little, and now they are back at their own 10, first and 10.
Well, I'll tell you what, the top place to start at this stage of the game, 4 minutes and 55 seconds left. You've got to make a couple of first downs. You've got to.
Well, you know the Conrads is going to be looking for number 10 and number 25.
Over the middle to Paul Pearson. He is stopped just short of the first down.
That's number 25, Paul Pearson. He loves to throw that little thing across the middle to Paul. And after he throws that a couple times, he'll work on a one-on-one with Greer.
He looks to the left side, and then Pearson comes across the middle underneath the backers. Now, here's what I like. Straight up field. You got to have every inch of real estate right now. Do not take any chances trying to fake somebody out. You'll lose yardage.
Well, as you said before, that the Ticats have been tough on second down and short. We'll see what happens on this one. But Conridge is more active, and he can probably get it himself if need be.
Second and 1. Lester Brown should have the first down as he is across the 20-yard line. You can't help, though, but admire the courage of Paul Pearson. He had that dislocated shoulder. They popped it back in, and he has returned to the game. And that catch he made could be a key catch in this ballgame.
Well, that's for sure. We just got done saying you've got to get the ball out of that end of the football field because the Ruoff kicking, and he got 8 yards on a play that, you know, a lot of times is incomplete, but he turned it into an 8-yard gain.
Well, that dislocation is a very common injury, and if you snap it back in place, you don't have too many ill effects the day that it happened. Tomorrow will be sore, but you can play with something like that. The danger is a chronic dislocation where it keeps slipping out.
Holloway with lots of time. Now he's in trouble, and he's dropped for a loss by Rod Stillman.
Well, that was just a great job of coverage by the Hamilton defense on that play. He had plenty of time to throw the football, but nobody to see to.
He had all day to throw it. They're all covered, and he did a wise thing by not taking any chances and gambling on a guy. He just ate the football. Look how much time he's got. Now he's going to put the... Now, just go down with it. Good move. Don't turn it over.
We talk about big plays and big circumstances. Here it is down there inside the 20-yard line. There's 3 minutes and 2 seconds left, and it's second down and about 15 yards to go. You know, if they have to kick on third down here, that'll put Hamilton in a good position with the time left on the clock to get down there and get some points. This is a big, big first down here.
.302 is the time remaining. The score is tied at 8. 48,000 fans in attendance at CNE Stadium this afternoon. One section almost completely filled by Hamilton supporters.
This has got to be the biggest play of the whole afternoon for the Toronto Argonauts. In this position on the field, with that field as wet as it is, and kicking out of their own end zone. Close to their goal line at least.
Well, they got 14 yards, 15 yards. You're exactly right. This is the biggest play of the season.
Picked off by Leo Ezerins. It was intended for Paul Pearson. And now the Argonauts are forced to kick with 2:52 remaining.
2:52 remaining, and they're kicking on a very, very wet field. They'll be kicking from about their 5-yard line. Alisic has ever earned his pay. He's going to earn it on this one.
This ball really should have been thrown. Leo Ezerins is in perfect position. If he picks that off, this team's history.
Hamilton trying to set up a return, and Alisic does hit a big one. Back to the 35-yard line. And Ridgely Crawford simply covers up to go down at the 35. A 57-yard kick by Alisic.
Boy, I'll tell you, they talk about big plays with big people at big times. Alisic never had any more of a challenge in his whole life than getting that ball downfield on that punt, and he got it downfield. And the coverage team did their job and stopped it down there around the 35-yard line.
2:42, the time remaining.
They're putting the ball down at the 39-yard line.
The draw play with Johnny Shepard dropped, punished and hit by Argonauts.
This is the survival of the fittest right now. Boy, I'll tell you, this is the ideal situation. Both of them are hitting. Watch the hit by Don Morrow, number 36. Boy, he put him right on his back. This is the way it's supposed to be.
The guy that diverted that draw play, though, was Goldsmith again. He recovered off a block and got right in that area where the draw was supposed to be run and caused Shepard to veer.
Penalty flag on the play. Brock is going to run for the first down, but it could be called back.
I believe we're going to get an offside again by the wide receivers.
Yes, that is the call. And again, I think it was Wayne Lee.
Wayne Lee, it was. Boy, Al Bruno's got to be concerned. Boy, he's seen this team fight back all season long. And boy, that's a big, big play. Dieter had run for the first down. No one expected that.
5 weeks ago, people had written the Hamilton Tiger Cats off as a playoff contender.
You know what we got right here? We've got an exact duplication almost of that last situation down at the other end of the field.
Procedure. Hamilton, number 17, second down repeated.
You're right, Ron, where the onus is going to be on unless they can recover this first down. The onus is going to be on now Ruoff to kick them out of trouble here.
We're 2:17 away from going into overtime to determine the Eastern champion for 1984. The score is tied at 8. Second down, second and 15. Brock threw that one away.
And look who's on the bottom. He had no choice to throw it because James Curry had him.
I'm sure the experience of Dieter Brock on that one told him to throw it away.
Don't sacrifice any more yards. That's a great move. You're exactly right. A veteran quarterback, what's the pressure that he gets? Number 74 is going to come in from the inside. Dieter slips. Now 74 shows up. He's got him by the legs. Dieter just doesn't take the loss. That's a good play.
That was a good play by Dieter, is right.
Now the Argos could get pretty good field position, depending on this Bernie Ruoff kick, and that wind has increased in velocity, and Ruoff is kicking into it. Garinci takes it at the 35. He fumbles the ball. Hamilton got it.
Oh, that's Toronto.
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. Yes, they have got it. Uh-oh, there's still some controversy here. The whole Hamilton team thought that Hamilton had it.
Well, who has got the ball?
Here comes Al Bruno.
Could this be a repeat of what happened last year when the Ticats thought they were jobbed by an official's call?
I was thinking
let's watch
exactly
it.
the same thing, Don.
Al Bruno way out at midfield.
See, he needs to get a flag. You can't go that far on the field.
That's a big, big break for the Hamilton, or for the Toronto.
2:01 is the time left. Now the Argos have it at their own 48-yard line, 1st and 10. Conrad Holloway running with the ball, looking for the first down. He'll be close. They're going to measure this one to see if they've got a first down, but much was made in the papers this week about the fact that the official who threw a flag in last year's Eastern Championship would not be working this game. A flag that Hamilton claimed cost them the Eastern title.
All right, let's look at this. This is the biggest play of the game. The ball, now Hamilton has it originally, but watch it slide out. He's going to lose the football right here. It's going to come out the side.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know who had it. I don't know who ended up with it. I just saw it come loose.
Somebody took it out from under him and grabbed it.
2nd and inches. Holloway should have the first down. 1:37 is the time left in the game. The score is tied at 8.
Last year, Mark Ragnola, they talked about a defensive interference call. Are they going to talk about that fumble this year?
I was right beside my player, Steve Kearns. He was on the ball. They signaled it was ours, and then they changed their mind. So I don't know.
I see Al Bruno very upset about it. He's halfway out there. He thought it was yours.
I thought it was ours. I was right beside Steve, like I said, in the bottom of the pile. But that's football, I guess. I don't know.
1st and 10, Toronto. They are at the Hamilton 52-yard line. Quickly to Emmanuel Tolbert. To the 44.
Boy, he made a good catch on that, too, because it was behind him and he had to twist to make the catch. But the thing about being a pro, just like the way those punters are punting the ball when they have to, is catch the ball in a critical situation. And boy, this is getting more critical with each play.
That was a big, big gamble of a throw by Holloway because he had a Hamilton Tiger linebacker there, and as Leo said, that's what receivers have to do in the critical spot, is make their catch.
The clock is running. 2nd and 3. The ball is at the 44. We're into the final minute. Holloway will run. He'll get the first down, or at least be very, very close to it.
Holloway down to the spot. See where they spot it.
It's 3rd, apparently, in less than a yard. Although they are going to measure, but you saw Holloway indicating to the Argonaut bench that they were about 2 feet away.
think he may have given a little bit more than they really got. I think there's about a football difference.
Well, they don't have the first down, so it will be 3rd and inches.
Well, now the thing with the officials will be watching very closely is that Hamilton team gives them a full yard on the defense over there.
I'll tell you this, if anybody else touches that football with number 7, it's a mistake.
Yeah,
54 seconds left.
Got to be a quarterback sneak.
You've got to get it done. Conrich has to do it right now.
Holloway deep. You have the first down. 41 seconds remaining in this game. I think they may remeasure.
Oh, it's no avail because he's got
the first down.
That's what, go get it.
So now it's a first down situation for the Argonauts. They are at the 41-yard line with 33 seconds remaining.
That's exactly right. They got to be very careful right now. 29 seconds.
That inside play with Tolbert again, and he gets only one. Now there are just 20 seconds remaining.
They'll probably be calling timeout here.
It would be a good time to call timeout. When talk this over, you've got 20 seconds, or you're going to overtime.
I think there goes the whistle. They're blowing it in, and Holloway is away from the huddle.
And it started.
They had better hurry. They haven't called the play yet. And the clock is running.
I think they're going to call timeout when it gets down to about 5 seconds.
Holloway watching that clock. And that's what they're doing. With 4 seconds remaining, they have called a timeout. Now what do you do?
Punt it. Punt that football.
All right, we've got the final play coming up right after this.
Adam and Eve used to get on well, but Eve ribbed Adam about his smell. So the snake said, Adam, splash us on. Autumn came and their leaves were gone. Napoleon longed to be big and grand, so he thought he'd give his side a hand. Josephine said,
Bonnie, you're real cute, but don't get caught short without your brute.
Now they've sent Olisic off the field to change his shoe, and it looks like that they've changed their mind from the field goal to the punt.
Well, they're going to punt it, and there were 3 defenders in the end zone ready to return this third down punt.
So why wouldn't Hamilton have some punters back there in the end zone?
Well, they do have Ruoff back there, and Paul Bennett. They had 3 people back there at one time.
Well, Bennett's not a punter, is he?
Oh, yeah, he's had enough experience. He's done it before. This is it.
Well, the Eastern Championship could be decided on this play. It won't go into the end zone, or will it? No, it won't. We're going into overtime. Hank Olisic had a chance to win the ball game on the final play, but it did not go into the end zone. So now we are going into overtime.
But I'll say this, I think what Olisic wanted to do was punt it into the end zone and out of bounds.
Well, the coaches, Al Bruno and Bob Radilovich, are explaining to their players what will happen in this overtime session. He'll explain to you what will happen. It will not be sudden death. There will be 2 10-minute halves. There will be a minute between halves. If the score is still tied, the same procedure. But it is not sudden death. Remember, 2 10-minute halves, and they kick off to start each half.
Right, what happens is just like at the beginning of the football game, Hamilton will have their choice coming into the first overtime period. Hamilton had the choice at the beginning of the game. They will have their choice to kick or receive or choose an end.
It's all important right now with these field conditions the way they are. Again, it's going to be the team that can be smart about their field position. It's going to be the punters that's going to play a big part in this game, Don. No question about that. And it's going to be exciting.
I'll tell you what's funny. Everybody will be wondering why Hank Alyssa can't kick the ball in the end zone, but I'll tell you one thing, when he kicked that 57-yard punt out from the shadow of his goal line, that was the biggest play of the football game.
It was the biggest play for Toronto, no question about that. But the other guy on the other side, Ruoff, has been just as instrumental in their success this afternoon, and it's going to end up on a field like this, being the special teams that might win the game.
I hearken back to a comment that I made and that we discussed in the first quarter when Felix Wright made the first of 4 interceptions in the end zone. Could have been all over, 15-0 at that point. The pass intended for Pearson. As it is, we're tied and now into overtime.
Well, both teams have had some luck with big plays this afternoon. Hamilton really hasn't been able to capitalize, and the Argonauts haven't either. And it's going to be at this time when all the chips are on the line that they're going to have to make the big play. And it might be something just as simple as a 1-pointer or a 3-pointer that's going to determine who's going to be the Eastern Division champion.
We said a mistake. And when I think back to it, the biggest mistake that was made in the late part of this football game was Earl Wilson jumping offside on James Frenchie's interception. They had the ball at the 30-yard line, perfect field position, wind at your back to kick the field goal. And that, you know, it doesn't seem like much, a little offside penalty, but as you mentioned, he's right over the ball. It cost him, and it cost him dearly.
That was substantial. That was a play that could have turned it around. And it'll be a play similar to that probably in this overtime that will do something about it. You know that these teams down aren't going to take the ball and sustain and take it right down the field. So it's going to have to be a big play. And still, I think that Johnson on the outside as a receiver getting into that middle with Brock's arm might be the difference.
Ron, we talked about the overtime upcoming. I think early in your career in Saskatchewan, you were involved in an overtime game, weren't you?
Yeah, we lost it.
Well, stay with us because we've got the excitement of overtime coming up to determine this 1984 Eastern champion.
Tonight, backstretch. Everybody wants her.
$1,800, that's it. It's my final offer.
I'm willing to give you $6,000 for that horse.
I'll go as high as $10,000. Because a horse worth that kind of money has got to be good.
There she is.
Backstretch, tonight on CBC television.
I'm over here. You do seem startled. Weren't you expecting me?
Sarah's torn between virtue and passion. The Jewel in the Crown continues tonight.
8-8 is the score. Hamilton and Toronto, only 1 touchdown. Lester Brown in the first quarter. Hank Alyssa with the convert and a single. Bernie Ruoff with 2 field goals and 2 singles. Ruoff with that 56-yard field goal established a CFL playoff record. And unless one of these teams makes a mistake, we could be here for a long time in overtime.
I think one thing is going to be substantial, Ron, in this overtime, and that's you saw when Conridge went back in the ball game, that extra dimension that he has on this wet field to be able to pull the ball down and run for a first down might be a deciding factor here. You know, the other quarterback can't do that. Dieter just is not a runner, and Conridge is the style of a guy that can go in there, and if he has to, he can get the thing done with a little bit of a run to get that first down. Now let's go to Ernie down on the sidelines.
Well, you know, the old saying, the best laid plans. Well, you could look back on that final few seconds in regulation play and talk about the Toronto Argonauts, the defending Grey Cup champions, on their way to another Grey Cup. They thought they had worked the ball down into position. You could see all the players along the sideline, on the bench. They knew that they were going to get this single point and go on into the Grey Cup final. Then there was a change. A decision was made to go from a punt to an attempted field goal, and then again it was changed back to the punt. Hank Alyssa did not get the punt he wanted. It fell short, and now we have overtime, and it's still anyone's game. But as the players from Toronto came to the bench, you could see tremendous disappointment there because they worked hard against a fired-up Hamilton team that just will not quit. Neither did the Argos, mind you. We have that kind of a typical Eastern final against 2 traditional rivals that just love to beat each other. I said at the beginning of the show, and it holds true, they love to whip each other, but right now, one can't figure out how it's going to do it. but it's going to happen sooner or later, and no one knows who it will be. Let's go to Vic over at the Hamilton side. Maybe he has an answer.
You know, if I did, Ernie, I'd probably go in and tell Al Bruno. No one wanted to come out. We went down there. They're very keyed up. They're still very upset, however, over that fumble, which they thought they should have had on the Carinci punt-back return, but they didn't get it. I'm very, very impressed, of course, with the defenses on both sides. The question, though, still is, where is Dieter Brock? Where is that offense? Last week, 6 first downs against Montreal, less than 100 yards. I doubt very much that they have had 100 yards today. So is it going to be left up to Bernie Ruoff? He has been their whole team for the last couple of games, and their defense has really gotten to this point. When you think about the first downs, the turnovers, the things that the defense has done for the Hamilton Ticats today, that's why it is tied up 8-8, and we are going into overtime. Defense, the name of the game. Leo, you said it all the time, and you said it many times. We've seen it here today.
Well, we have an 8-8 ball game, and we thought that one of the turning points could have occurred when the Hamilton Tiger Cats appeared to have recovered a Jan Carinci fumble on a 3rd down punt. But the officials ruled that it was a Toronto ball. Let's take a look at it.
Well, Carenci's running with it, and the ball's going to pop loose. The ball is now bouncing around, and at first impression, I did really think the Hamilton Tiger Cats had it. What happens after this point right here, I have no idea.
I think he went down on the ball, and I think that he didn't have control of the ball, though. It was underneath him, and one of the Argos just reached under him and grabbed it and pulled it away, and the first thing the official saw was the ball in the Hamilton Tiger got armed. I want to ask you something, though, Ron. I looked down there, and there was 22 seconds left on the clock. Conridge was still consulting with the sidelines. What about a quick huddle and go for a 10-yard gain and kick the field goal?
I'm either going to call timeout with 20 seconds left and tuck it over and throw a ball down the field to the sidelines and throw it away to get time, or I'm going to do just what you said. Come out of there and try to get 10 yards closer and kick the ball. I did not agree with letting 15 seconds run off that clock.
Well, I tell you, I was amazed when they did that, because Conridge was about halfway to the sidelines. The referee was still standing, hadn't started to put the ball in play. There was 18 seconds left. I don't know what they were doing that for. I seriously think that they should have just kept going and tried to go for the one more first down.
You know, we look at all the ifs. Now, here's another one. Dieter Brock ran for a first down, and he made a first down, and Wayne Lee was called for offside twice, and that one was a key one because Brock was right at the center field stripe. Had they not been offside, Brock might have got him a first down. Ruoff would have kicked the point to win it. So there's been chances both sides, and offsides in both instances have cost them opportunities.
And it balanced itself off when Wilson jumped offside for the Argos. So as we've said all along, on a field like this and on a day like this, it's these penalties and these mistakes that are going to cost you the ball game.
Would you agree, though, gentlemen, with this statement? This game, the Eastern Championship, going into overtime, in a year that hasn't really been a vintage year for the CFL, in the West, all the controversy surrounding that Winnipeg-BC playoff game, the fans with their towels, Winnipeg Fridays, the fact that they have a Crazy George look-alike contest, I think it's the best thing that has happened to the Canadian Football League since Jim Trimble of the Hamilton Tiger Cats said he would waffle the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup game.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's certainly setting the stage for a great Grey Cup game, and I think that something like that had to come because, as you said, there was kind of a lull you to sleep toward the end of the middle, toward the middle of the league this year. Neither league, East or West, was doing anything very productive, and then toward the end of the season, this thing does come around, and it looks like it's going to make for a great Grey Cup.
It sure has, and as we've mentioned a couple times, Don said it's the interception at the early part of the football game. There it is. Felix Wright, that man right there, makes the interception deep in the end zone of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He went to the football from about 20 yards away. Let's watch him. Holloway looks left, throws deep, tries to hit Pearson. Now what's coming from the left side of the screen? Watch how far he goes.
And did you see number 77 coming in there and putting the pressure on Holloway to throw that ball in a hurry? But he threw it about as well as he could and as far as he could. But as you said, Wright went to the ball and went about 15 or 20 yards on a flight of the ball to snag that interception.
At that time, it looked as though the Argos, who were driving, were going to jump into a 15-0 lead. Had they done that, it was all over.
Yeah, I believe so, because the Toronto defense has played an outstanding football game, just as Hamilton's had, and as we just said earlier, if something big doesn't happen, we'll be here all night, because they'll kick that ball back and forth forever.
Well, they've been playing inside the 30-yard line for almost this entire second half. Al Bruno, I think, can consider himself very fortunate that on that fumble that they awarded to the Toronto Argonauts, that he did not draw a flag because he was out at midfield complaining to the officials.
My opinion is he had to have a flag.
Now standing by on the sidelines, here's Vic Rudder.
On with me is Bill Pride, the director of officiating in the CFL. Tell me about overtime. What can we expect?
Well, the overtime is like a mini football game comprised of 2 10-minute halves. And the team at the start who had the option, which was Hamilton, have now taken the option again. They'll play a 10-minute segment of a half a football game, change ends, and do it all over again. But they must play 20 minutes. There's no sudden death. If it's tied at the end of this 20 minutes, they'll play another 20 minutes up to 10-minute halves.
Could be a long, long game.
It's a tough one.
Thanks.
Okay, Vic. Well, we're going to be here for at least 20 more minutes, and overtime is underway. Into the end zone, Rufus Crawford starting from about 5 yards deep. And he is down at the 18-yard line. A kickoff of 70 yards by Hank Olisic, and a run back of 23 by Rufus Crawford.
And what else was great about that kickoff? He kicked it right at that goalpost. He's going to try to make it as difficult for Rufus Crawford to catch that ball as he can. And that's excellent coverage. They got him inside the 20-yard line.
Remember, 2 10-minute halves in this overtime session. If the score is still tied, they'll repeat the procedure. Fumble football, and Johnny Shepard got it back.
Like so many people, Paul Bennett, this is a first overtime game for you. What did Al Bruno tell you?
He didn't really say much. He just said, you know, we have a great chance here to win. Just go and play the best like we have all game, and things can go our way.
Offense, though, hasn't done it for you. You've got to expect sometimes they're going to come through.
Well, we knew it was going to be tough against Argo defense, but defensively we knew if we could stop it, we had a chance. We're just hoping and praying now that offense can do something for us.
Brock pass incomplete, intended for Johnson. Good coverage by Lamont Mason.
Well, Don, I see 2 things as being real substantial in this overtime. I think number 1 is going to be the kicking game, and I think number 2 is going to be the mobility of Conridge Holloway. When he got back in that ball game, it changed the whole complexion of the game, and he can get, as I said before and pointed out, he can get that first down when his receivers are covered by running with it, and that could be a big advantage.
Well, Bernie Ruoff and the Hamilton Tiger Cats need a big punt here. We're into the first overtime period. 9 minutes remaining. It was almost blocked. Don Moon came right up the middle, and it bounces out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Now, with an update on the Western Conference Championship game, here's Brian Williams.
All right, thank you, Don Whitman. That game is just underway out at BC Place in Vancouver. We talked with both coaches at halftime. The Blue Bombers surprisingly relaxed. They feel they are finally going to win under the dome in Vancouver. Stay with us. We will update the Lions Blue Bombers game right now. Let's return it to you at Exhibition Stadium.
This is the first overtime game for quarterback Joe Burns of the Argos. It's a little scary, isn't it, Joe? A little chance. We kind of gave the ball game to them there in the regular time, so hopefully we don't come through in this overtime. It looked like the Argos came through that depression, though, and the missed punch is fired up again. Yeah, we're ready to play again. Okay, good luck.
Conrad Holloway under pressure. He was looking down the sidelines for Paul Pearson. I think he was throwing that one away as Pearson was well covered.
It was an excellent throw. I mean, he had the time to throw, no one was open, and with Pearson going up to the sideline, you just throw it far enough to that sideline. If Pearson doesn't get it, the guy in the third row will. That's good. There's one man who want to get the ball to is Terry Greer. Let's see what happens to him.
Second and 10. The ball is at the 41. Score tied at 8. They make first at 2 10-minute overtime. Incomplete.
Well, that's about as close as it'll ever come.
Harold Pass, who led the league in interceptions with 12, dropped back and got a hand on that throw for Terry Greer.
I'll tell you what the problem was there. Terry Greer was coming across, and he had to look for that goalpost. I thought for a minute he would watch him look. That goalpost, he's aiming right for it there for a second. It would have been a heck of a catch, I know that. Going to kick a field goal, 47 yards.
Paul Bennett doesn't seem to think that Hank Alyssa can kick it this far. Well, he now has dropped back underneath the goalpost, but it is going to be wide and short. Bennett in the end zone. And he gets up a single point. I wonder about that play.
Well, I got to wonder about that too, because he had some running room when he fielded that ball. I think he could have brought the ball up to the 15 or 20 yard line.
So the Toronto Argonauts move in front 9-8 with 7:30 remaining in this first 10-minute overtime half.
Well, the one thing I'll say about it is at least they get the ball out to the 40-yard line with that single point, and maybe they figure as hard as it's going to be, they don't want the ball down inside with bad field position. That's the only thing I can think of.
So because the field goal attempt is wide, the Ticats take over at the point of last scrimmage, which was the 40-yard line. Screen to Johnson. Oh, good defensive play over there as Ralph Dixon wrapped Johnson up. Had Johnson been able to get by him, he had some clear sailing down the sidelines.
Well, both teams have had success with that screen to the flanker, but they saw it so much early in the game that now those corners and halfbacks, they're right up on top of them. As soon as they see a guy drop off the line, they're up there.
Second and 9 for the Ticats. Pass complete to Johnny Shepard. He's got a first down, almost to midfield.
Boy, don't you know that field is so wet and that ball has got to be wet too. And Johnny Shepard, everybody else that holds that ball has got to put both hands on it when they feel that contact coming, because it can get knocked loose very easily.
Look downfield, dump it off to the man in the flat. In this case, Shepard's wide open. And as you say, he held on to that football, and that's the big thing right now.
That middle is still got some possibilities as far as the Argonauts are concerned.
First and 10. Over the middle, incomplete. Out of the hands of Johnny Shepard.
Well, I don't like to throw it in there that short, though, Ron. He's got to get it in there behind the linebackers and in front of Corinthia.
Yeah, we won't criticize Shepard for this one. That ball was dumped so quick and behind him. I didn't think it was even possible for him to catch that one. And did Don Mohn put a hit on Shepard after he touched that football?
Did you notice one thing, too? Shepard's got the gloves off.
Conrad Holloway started the game, then was injured, came back, put together a last-minute drive for the Argos that appeared to put them in position to win the ball game, but such was not the case. Peter Brock's pass intended for Johnny Shepard, incomplete again. So the Ticats will be forced to kick with 5:40 remaining in this first 10-minute overtime half.
Well, the last time Johnny Shepard went right out in the flat. This time he had man-to-man coverage by Mitchell, so he tried to put a move and force Mitchell to stop and lose that momentum, and as he did, Brock threw the ball too far.
Bernie Ruoff has accounted for all of the Hamilton points this afternoon. Fielded by Braisley inside his own 10. And he is down at the 18-yard line by Ralph Scholes. 5:19 is the time remaining in this first overtime period. Holloway has had a good afternoon, completing 11 of 16 attempts.
Neil Conridge has only had a few passes intercepted this year, and one of the reasons is his mobility back there. He can get away from the rush, he can take his time, and he can make sure that he's going to throw the ball in a safe area before he throws it. Well, a lot of quarterbacks that don't have that mobility get back there and they're frozen in that pocket and they have to throw it downfield, and that's how it gets intercepted.
Holloway trying to run with the ball, and he is decked after he got back to the line of scrimmage. Walker, Covington, and Lescavage were all there to greet him.
Holloway was hit by Lescavage and Walker.
Well, they put those three receivers out there, Leo. They had a couple of guys going up to the team. If you would have been able to throw the football, they were open.
They
but
sure
I'll tell
were.
you, no time.
Gerald Best was out there, number 14, and there was 3 blue jerseys distributed from the hash marks all the way in, and he had to cover all 3 of them.
That's when the defensive back was thankful for that big pass rush.
I'm going to believe it.
4:29 remaining in their first overtime period. 9-8, the Argos lead.
Middle is opening up.
Emmanuel Tolbert for the first down of the 31.
Well, that time he sure had a long time to throw the football. Boy, a great time. And he brings 2 receivers across. He'll bring the 2 men coming from left to right underneath the linebackers, and Tolbert's got all day to find that hole in the middle. And Holloway finds him.
First and 10, Toronto. They are at their own 31-yard line. Holloway is hit from behind by John Priestner.
Well, Holloway just stepped up at the last moment there. Priestner would have dug him right in the middle of the back with that helmet. He might have fumbled the ball.
They wanted to throw that screen to Greer, and you see Mark Streeter? He was in the backfield.
Ron, you have made the comment a number of times about the linebackers have a look in their eyes, and when we saw the players being introduced at the start of this afternoon's game, there was a special look in the eyes of the linebackers.
Well, I tell you, I looked at a lot of linebackers. I don't like that look.
I don't believe the time we see in the scoreboard clock is official because it has not stopped since overtime began. Incomplete. Knocked down by Gerald Best, intended for Terry Greer, and there's a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage.
A mistake on the play of the Hamilton defense. Defensive right side was offside.
It's a 9-8 ball game. The Toronto Argonauts leading Hamilton in their first overtime period. Joe Barnes is warming up. Again, Joe Barnes is warming up at that Toronto bench. He took over from Conrad Holloway in the second quarter this afternoon. And then late in the fourth quarter, Holloway, who was injured, replaced Barnes. And Holloway has started this overtime period. But he was a little slow in getting up after that last hit by John Priestner.
Well, unless Holloway is hurt, I think it would be a mistake taking him out of there because he can do something that Joe can't do as well, and that's use that running
He's got to get up. That's right, he's got to get up.
Holloway got away from Walker, but he will not get away from Mitchell Price.
Holloway carries.
So the Argos send out their punting unit. They lead 9-8 in this overtime period.
Conridge makes about 14 different moves here, and I know that Al Bruno must have just right there. Walker slipped off of him. Price Bryant comes over and gets him from the back and catches him and knocks him down. But Al Bruno's got to age about 10 years when he sees that happen. That first down throws in there, Ron.
Hank Olympic sanctions it. It goes out of bounds at the 52-yard line of the Ticats.
What a time to shank one.
What I was surprised about is the Ticats did not rush one person up the middle. I figured Olympic was going to stand there and watch. And then as a result, he went ahead and hurried his kick and shanked it.
Only a 23-yard kick by Hank Olympic. Remember, Bernie Ruoff kicked the field goal from 56 yards earlier in the game with the wind at his back. He again has the wind at his back. So if Hamilton can pick up one first down, Ruoff may try a field goal. Brock going to a wide open DiPietro. He fumbles the ball. Recovered by, well, let's see who's got it.
I don't know. It looks like Hamilton may have got it.
Yeah,
Hamilton has. The Argos had it, scooped it up, were bumped the gas. Look at El Bruno. He said, oh my God, is this game ever going to be over? Al said, how much more can I take as he bends over there? I don't know how he feels standing on that sideline.
Watch the catch. Excellent effort after he catches the football. A lot of times they're better off to go down. The ball's going to come loose.
Forget about that straight arm. Forget about that straight arm. Get both hands on the football. You're on the 25-yard line. But he stuck that one arm out there, which made him vulnerable, holding the ball in one hand, and it was knocked loose.
This is the deepest penetration the Ticats have had all game. Brock with time into the end zone. DiPietro, touchdown!
Oh, that's a big, big touchdown. What a catch by DiPietro. And when you talk about a pro,
it's coming back. There's a penalty flag. Illegal procedure, Hamilton.
Got to be that wide receiver again. And I'll bet it's the same guy.
I think you're right. Wayne Lee, I believe, was offside. Procedure. Hamilton, no end. First down and 10.
He's got to be up on the line of scrimmage when the ball snapped, and he wasn't there, and the referee called it.
I believe it was Wayne Lee who did not line up in the proper position. Wayne Lee is in there replacing Steve Stapler, and in all fairness to Lee, he does not get that many opportunities to play. No, he sure doesn't. We've done, I don't know, 5 or 6 games in now, we haven't seen him yet.
Forget about that. This is pro football, and you've got to, as a pro, be on the line of scrimmage in a situation like that. There's no excuse for you not to be on the line of scrimmage. This is not college ball, it's not high school ball, it's professional football. And you can't make those kind of mistakes. We talked about mistakes costing the football games. You got to be in the proper formation.
You're exactly right, Leo. I can't argue with that. You get on the line of scrimmage and watch the ball. Watch Dieter's going to take a smack right here.
Ooh, boy. David Boone. So now it's second down.
The referee is looking at his clock, too. Dieter's taking quite a bit of time, and on Huddle, he's still looking.
He got it away just in time. Into the end zone for Johnson. Schroeder! Touchdown! There are no flags this time.
Nothing complicated about that. You said all along, Leo, they got to get the ball to Johnson. Dieter just throws this down the field, and he says, I'm throwing it, you catch it, and that's exactly what happened. Looks like a cover.
You can only cover Johnson. He's their only chance for real deep speed, and you can only cover him so often. They got DiPietro down the slot, which has been open all afternoon. He caught a touchdown pass, didn't count, but Johnson got loose on that one. Now we're going to see if they're going to go for 2.
Yes, they are.
They got Dieter in there. They're going to go for 2.
14-9 is the score. As the Ticats are going for 2. 1:31 is the time remaining in this first overtime period. Rufus Thomas, the intended receiver. The score will hold at 14-9. Well, they had the touchdown throw to Rocky DiPietro called back by procedure, but given another opportunity, Brock laid it out there.
But good concentration by Johnson, too, because the defender was coming down across the space to block his path, and he just kept his eye on the ball. Fell down catching it. Well, it's forces one situation here that every football team likes, Ron. They have to score a touchdown to beat you.
That's
Field
right.
goal won't do it.
They've been tough to get today. Not many touchdowns. In fact, one by each club. Toronto's got to move the football. Conridge is hurting a little bit. We'll see if he comes in the ball game, but they've got to do something. That defense has done a great job for Hamilton in that catch. That
You talk about special teams and the importance of special teams. Now here's a situation. Ruoff is kicking off. It is almost of utmost importance that that coverage team gets down there and holds them down inside that 20-yard line. A good return here could hurt them.
This one sails into the end zone. Was it touched? It rolls out of the end zone. Did it hit Jan Carinci as it landed? I guess it did not. All right, let's go down to the Hamilton bench and Vic Router.
Ron Johnson, they set all game. Defense will keep you in there, and hopefully the offense will come along and do something, and what a great time to do something.
Well, defense is playing great. They're making a lot of great plays. We're just trying to come up with some on the offensive side. Rocky made a couple of great catches. He's really a clutch ball player, and it inspires us to do well too, so I just had to go up and get that ball.
Rockies was called back. You got yours. What happened on the play?
Well, we got Rocky going down the middle. That's why he was so wide open. We're playing a certain type of zone where the middle is wide open. To either side, he took advantage of it.
And your touchdown?
Well, that was just a straight go. And we just went for it. He just threw it up long. And I was able to get under and make the catch.
Congratulations.
All right. Hi, Mom. How you doing?
Well, the Toronto Argonauts finally got that screen pass to Bob Brunk, and they pick up a first down, and they are now at the 36 with 1:22 remaining in this first overtime period. And the clock is now running as the Argos come out 1st and 10 at their own 36-yard line. Bennett almost picked it off. It was intended for Emmanuel Tolbert.
Boy, did Paul have an open field on that, too.
Make that little stop pattern to Terry Greer, and then he tried to lay it in the hole. But Paul Bennett, he said all along, he's seen everything. He just stood back there and waited, and he had a great chance to pick that one off.
If he picks this one off, it's 6. Oh, he had, you know what happened? He took his eye off the ball when he saw his own player there. He was coming down, he was going to come down on Best, so he took his eye off the ball.
2nd and 10, and remember, to start the second overtime period, they kick off, so field position here really means nothing. The Argos have to try and score some points, and they will be forced to kick it away.
Conridge looks like he really got hurt on that one.
Yes, Holloway is still down with 54 seconds remaining in this first overtime period. But the important fact here, Ron, is that they do have to kick off to start the second overtime period, so the Argos had to score points on that series.
Yeah, they had to get something going, and regardless of that, they got down to the 1-yard line and the clock in. It stops and you kick off, and it'll be the Argos' choice when it does. Right now, they've got to play defense. They don't want Ruoff getting any chances at a field goal with, this little time left.
They may go after this one. I'm surprised that they didn't. Got the return on.
Rufus Crawford following the blocking of Paul Bennett. He fumbles the football, and the Argos have got it. Vince Goldsmith has the ball. Well, with 25 seconds remaining, the Argonauts get another chance in this first overtime period.
I hope that Barnes realizes we're going to take a look at the ball pop loose as Rufus Crawford's going down, and they come up with it, but I hope Barnes realizes now he's got to throw for that end zone. There's no sense thinking you're going to change ends. You're going to have to make decisions again in about 20 seconds. Throw that thing down the field.
What about a 10-yarder and a field goal?
That's fine. You got to get some points.
Hand off inside to Lester Brown. I think they're trying to set up a field goal attempt by Hank Alisic, but he missed from about this range earlier in this overtime period, kicking into that wind. Al Bruno checking over at the timekeeper's bench as the amount of time, and he is trying to determine whether or not they do kick off. I think he was asking about the kickoff procedure to start the second overtime period.
Got to know the rules.
David Leonard. the catch with 5 seconds remaining in the half at the 23-yard line.
Now you got to kick that field goal right now.
Now, 5 seconds left after only shot. The field goal means an awful lot to them right here. It closes the gap and puts them within a field goal going ahead in this ball game in the second 10-minute period.
And you remember this, it's going to be the Argonauts' choice when they change ends or when this half ends. They have the choice and they can kick, receive, or choose the end. They do whatever they want.
I wouldn't be surprised if the two coaches spend a little time just going over to the rule book as the playoff procedure.
You got to know those rules, I'm telling you.
A miss right here would really put the pressure on Alyssa because it would only put them within 4 points of Hamilton, and it would mean that they'd still have to score a touchdown.
It's wide, and he missed it. It's wide, and in the end zone, Paul Bennett should have returned that kick, I think.
I don't think he could. He didn't have a chance.
The important thing here, though, is that it's 4 points now, and the Argonauts still have to, in the second 10-minute period, score a touchdown to go ahead.
We'll be back with the second 10-minute overtime period right after this. 10 minutes away from determining an Eastern champion in this overtime period. Right now, though, for a CFL update from the last year's Brian Williams.
All right, thank you, Don Whitman. In the first quarter, on a wide field goal by Louis Pasaglia, the BC Lions are leading Winnipeg by a score of 1-0. However, Winnipeg is trying and has just made a field goal, so it is 3-1 for Winnipeg. We'll have to update that game later. Now back to you.
And here it's 14-10. Hamilton leading Toronto with 10 minutes remaining. And that was a very costly miss on the part of Hank Alyssa.
Boy, it sure was. When you get you go into the second period now, and the onus is on you because you're 4 points down. Had you made that field goal, it would have been 2 points with the assurance that if you get inside that 40-yard line now, you can kick for the win. But now they can't. They've got to score a touchdown.
Now, we mentioned earlier about Grey Cup playoff appearances. Hank Alyssa is the all-time leader on both teams, having played in 7 Grey Cup games. Bernie Ruoff was there in 1980, along with 3 other members of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Jeff Townsend on this kickoff return doing an outstanding job of getting back to the 45-yard line.
Good job. Good job by Townsend. Hasn't seen too much action today, but hey, if you're going to pick a time to do something, now's the time.
And Joe Barnes is back in at quarterback. So it's going to be up to Joe Barnes, it looks like.
Further to Grey Cup appearances by players on these two teams, Joe Barnes has been there 5 times. David Boone also made 5 Grey Cup appearances with the Edmonton Eskimos.
Patience, that's what they've got to have right now. They've got 10 minutes, they've got to have patience and work the ball if they can. They haven't been too successful all day doing it.
Barnes is under pressure. He gets away from the initial charge, goes to the sidelines to home. That will be a first down at the 54 of Hamilton.
Mobility is the key. He got deep enough, it almost looked like he was going to be over the line of scrimmage, but he got rid of it.
Well, he looked like he ran upfield a long way there before he threw the football. Well, he had the depth though on the drop.
That's the key. He got back deep enough that time, because he did move upfield a long way. That was a good move, too, by Holmes. Just sit on the sidelines, because he's running your way. He'll see you, and he did.
A gain of 12 on the pass to Greg Holmes. First and 10. The ball is at the 54 of Hamilton. The Ticats lead 14-10. 9:20 the time remaining in this second overtime period.
Got his head! Take his head, John!
The draw with quarterback Joe Barnes stopped right at the line of scrimmage by Leon Lescavage.
That was a pretty determined quarterback draw. He just took a couple steps back and looked for a seam up the middle. What should have been a good play at this stage of the ball game was just 4-man rush, but a good recovery by the defensive lineman.
Well, that was a good call because they had only, 4 men there. Gay was there to make the stop. Big defensive play, too. So now it's 2nd and 10. Now an important play for the Argonauts. They desperately need a 2nd down conversion. Joe Burns is being pursued by Pearson, who gets away from him and then is forced out of bounds. He is stopped after a pickup of just 1. He ran a long way to get that 1 yard.
Boy, Hamilton's doing a good job downfield of cluttering up all those zones.
Wouldn't that be something that the Hamilton Tiger Cats to lead at 14-10 and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to lead the BC Lions 3-1. Winnipeg, Hamilton in the Grey Cup game. The 2 quarterbacks, Clements and Brock, were traded. Hey, stranger things have happened in this game. When you get to these kind of games, anything goes.
That's how it all happened when I first came to Canada back in 1960. It was Hamilton and Winnipeg in those Grey Cups.
Paul Bennett back at his own 5-yard line, and he gets out to the 8-yard line after a 50-yard kick by Hank Olisic. Let's go down to Vic Router.
Trainer Ray Jones of the Ticats putting heat on the back of the calf muscle of kicker Bernie Ruoff. It is his left leg, not his right one, so it shouldn't. It might affect the plant, I suspect, Leo Ron, but it's not the kicking foot at least.
Bernie's all right. Do that.
I'll say it's kind of a handicap for a kicker to have either leg.
Right. That's right. Tell you one thing, the Argonauts got to stop them right here if they're going to score a touchdown.
And Peter Brock has got to be very careful here, and he knows it.
1st and 10 from the 9-yard line. Ronnie Shepard picked up 3 yards. Dropped by James Curry. Who else? James Curry's hit everybody. 7:40 is the time remaining in the 2nd overtime period. 14-10. Hamilton leads Toronto. In the 1st quarter, it was 8-0 for the Argos. But the Ticats fought back, and with 2 field goals and 2 singles by Ruoff, they tied it to force overtime. In the middle for Rocky DiPietro. No catch.
Well, that would have been a big play. Right now they're in trouble. They're going to be kicking from close to their goal line, and field position here gives the Argonauts an excellent chance of going in and doing something from here.
Well, we'll find out how bad Ruoff's leg is right now, because he needs a big one.
What about a 2-pointer here?
Well, you got to kick it off, and then your field goal beats him.
I know, still, but we're going to get a field goal.
I don't know. They missed a short one last time. Bad snap, but Ruoff still picks it up and got away a pretty good kick out of the midfield with Dan Carinci. And Carinci is still on his feet, and then he is knocked over at the 52 by Dave Raffy. Good kick. Good kick under the circumstances. But a bad snap and pressure. And he came through again, Bernie Ruoff. Watch the ball. It'll be down low.
Boy, there's some people coming up that middle, too.
Ruoff has had to do some searching for those 3rd down punts this afternoon.
Sure has. He's stumped for a couple, and he's played shortstop on a couple.
Moan got close to one before. Maybe he got a hand on one before, and he almost got to that one, too.
The clock is running. 6:46 and counting remaining in this 2nd overtime period. Over the middle, Emmanuel Tolbert could not hang on. Now it's 2nd and 10. Conrad Holloway back on the bench, and he has certainly taken a physical beating this afternoon.
Well, if you're the Argonauts right here, what you've got to do is don't panic, don't go for the fences, don't try to get it all at once. Try to get your 1st down and know that you can punt them back down in trouble and get another shot at it. They can't take any chances here, they're liable to throw it away.
It's incomplete, attempted for Paul Pearson.
Couldn't get his arm up. It was too far anyway, but he had trouble getting that arm up to get the football.
Boy, if that would have hit him square, he'd have come pretty close to scoring on that.
6:20 is the time left in this 2nd overtime period. 14-10. Hamilton leads Toronto.
Now you got to take the point right here, I think.
I don't know if he can kick it that far. He's going to have to put that ball up in the air about 70 yards to even get to the end zone. He did it. No, he didn't. Not quite.
No, it isn't going to reach the end zone. Rufus Crawford almost misplayed it at the 9-yard line.
Oh, there you are on the 8-yard line.
6 minutes is the time remaining, with the Ticats leading 14-10. Now for another update on that Western game, here's Brian Williams.
All right, Don, this is the play that ended the first quarter at BC Place. Louis Pasaglia putting for the Lions. Scott Flegel will block it for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And now in the second quarter, Winnipeg leads 3-1. They had the edge in offense in the first quarter, 74-25. Let's throw it back to you at Exhibition Stadium.
The Ticats in almost identical field position to their last offensive series. And the result is almost the same. Johnny Shepard on the first down play picks up 3, stopped by William Mitchell.
Boy, it's real important that the Ticats get a first down here and advance that ball so that they can get some sort of field position. And it's just as important for the Argonauts to hold them. The Argonauts can force them to punt again from here. The law of averages is going to say that the Argonauts are going to move that ball in.
A 4-point difference. We have just over 5 minutes left to play. The screen to Johnny Shepard, still on his feet, but he won't get the first down. Both sides very grudgingly giving up yardage this afternoon.
Well, 5 minutes left in the football game, and the pressure again falls on number 10, Ruoff. It looks like they have the screen set well. They're coming from inside-out position. They put the pressure on him, and then he's a long way from that first down. But the pressure again on number 10. And I think the Argonauts should go after this. They've been coming very, very close.
Particularly with the way those third down snaps have been coming back to Ruoff.
Not going to do it.
A good kick by Ruoff. Corinci goes back to his own 43-yard line. And he is down at the 42 as Steve Kearns made the first contact with him.
Well, I can't say enough about Bernie Ruoff and the job that he's done, not only in this game, but in the last game against Montreal. Talk about a pressure player.
Well, he's done it, hasn't he?
That was a 55-yard kick when the Hamilton Tiger Cats desperately required a big kick with 4:40 now remaining.
This Hamilton Tiger Cat defense has completely shut down the Argonaut offense. This is almost the last chance, 4 minutes.
They never have come back to Bronx with that screen.
There's the screen to Greg Holmes, and he is stopped after a gain of 6.
Well, we've seen that play worked over today. We've seen about all we can see happen on that play, too.
Both sides have tried those wide screens. And now another important second down play for the Argos. They require a conversion here with 3:50 remaining.
This is a big play right here. They're all big, but this is a big one.
Barnes is going to try and run for the first down. He'll get it and much more. He fumbles the ball, but it goes out of bounds.
He tried the lateral. That's a heck of a play.
And there's a penalty flag.
Tell you this, if he makes the lateral to Holmes, Holmes is gone.
I think they're going to rule an offside lateral. He threw it ahead.
Offside pass, illegal pass. 17, Toronto. First down.
The field position does not change. But had the ball been touched by an Argo receiver, of course, it would have been a little different.
Well, I'll tell you, that missed field goal is looking more and more like the key play of this football game. The Argonauts have to score a touchdown.
Well, they got a lot of time, though, Ron. At 3:24, they're moving the ball.
That was a key second down play with Barnes running as he did for 23 yards. quick out for Pearson, and he is wrapped up almost immediately by Howard Fields.
I don't know what defense the Tiger Cats were in that time, but they better change it because Greer was open to the post.
3:07 is the time remaining in this Eastern Championship game. Hamilton 14, Toronto 10, 3:07 remaining in the second overtime period. But now for an update on that Western game, here's Brian Williams.
All right, Don Whitman, 2nd and 6 for the Bombers. In the second quarter, Tom Clements to James Murphy. Winnipeg out in front of BC by a score of 10-1. And Don, I'll tell you, it is starting to look more and more like Winnipeg and Hamilton. Back to you.
Well, I wouldn't be quite so sure about Hamilton getting to the Grey Cup game with the Argos having a first down right now at the 32-yard line of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Joe Barnes went to the sidelines for consultation, so this may be a big play that we haven't seen.
Oh, out of the hands of Lester Brown. He was open down at the 10.
You got to catch that one. You've got to catch that football. I don't know what I do here. I guess kick the field goal.
You got to go for the field goal.
Well, let's take a look at it. I mean, you can't be any more wide open. Catch the football, Lester.
Boy, there's nobody in the world that feels worse than Lester on that one there. You can bet on that. But you've got to catch those. That's what you get paid for.
So Hank Kalisic lines up for another field goal attempt. This one coming from 40 yards out. Even if he makes it, it will still leave them 1 point behind. It's good. So now with 2:50 remaining, it's 14-13. And I'm sure the Ticats will opt to scrimmage from their own 35.
Yeah, they got to scrimmage at the 35 and hold on to that football because they don't want to turn it over here.
You know, we might have another overtime session coming up. The Argos get the ball back in reasonable field position. They might be able to kick for that tying point.
A lot of ifs, Don. There's a whole lot of them, aren't there? I mean, if they turn it over, they could lose it. If they make a first down and punt, they're going to win it.
Well, if you're Dieter Brock, you've got to really, at this stage, make sure of what you're doing because you can't turn it over.
There's the handoff to Johnny Shepard, and he has 3 yards.
You've still got a good punter behind you. You're still 1 point up. You got to be very selective about what you do, and you got to be careful about putting the ball in the air and make sure that you don't throw it into one of those blue guys' hands. But you need that first down too, Ron.
That's 2nd and 8. He's got to put it up.
He's got to throw it, but he's got to be sure when he throws it.
I'm going to look for DiPietro in the middle someplace.
The clock is running as we're now down to 2:30 remaining. Throwing deep for Johnson. Oh, just off his fingertips. It almost looked as though Johnson eased up a little over there.
I think he did ease up. I think he let up. He had him beat going down the sidelines. And I don't think he either didn't think that Dieter could throw it that far. He ought to know better than that, though.
Yeah, he ought to know Dieter's arm. Dieter could have thrown that thing all the way to home plate if he had to.
Well, what do you do right now if you're the Argos? Do you go after this one? You try to block this kick here, Ron?
I think you do. I mean, they've been coming awful close. I think right now at 2:24, you don't want deep field position. You've got to try to do something.
You got to make sure you don't interfere with the kicker, though. Yeah, they're going after it.
Catch it. You got to catch it.
Braisley having difficulty fielding that punt, and the Argos will start from their own 36-yard line with 2:17 remaining.
This is all or nothing at all on this drive.
Well, the executive producer of our CFL coverage on CBC television is Bob Moyer. Today's game produced by John Spalding and directed by Ron Harrison. Isolation directors Brent Haywood and Bo Waters. First and 10. The ball is at the 36-yard line. Greg Holmes unable to hang on. A believe it was Streeter who came up over the top of Greg Holmes to knock it down as Wright was trying for the interception. And of course, there are a lot of people we are indebted to for their assistance this afternoon. Our production and technical crew, and those responsible during the course of the entire season for our halftime productions. And many of these same people will be extremely busy next week as they prepare for Grey Cup 1984. With the Shenley Awards on Thursday night, the Grey Cup parade, the thrill of it all, and the game itself, all to be seen on CBC television. Will it be the Argos or the Ticats representing the East? At the moment, the Ticats have the edge. And with 2:05 remaining in this second overtime period, it's 14-13. Al Bruno's Ticats in front, and it's third down coming up Toronto.
Well, 2:05 is a long time, you know, Ron. I know what you're going to say. 2:05 is a long time left in the ball game, but well, I tell you, if Hamilton gets the ball and makes the first down or something, it's game over.
Oh, I'm looking at the clock. 2:05. You're at that area. What do you do? 3rd and 10. If you turn it over down here and don't make the first down, it's over. I think you got to catch the football and hope for a turnover. They need a turnover desperately if you're an Argonaut.
Third down pick by Olesic. Fielded by Rufus Cropper. He goes down at the 35-yard line. So with 1:56 remaining in the ball game, that's where Hamilton will finish. Our technical people have had a busy day. It's been a long day for them, having an early morning setup and working now late into Sunday evening. There's also an injured ball player, Dan Ferrone, is down on one knee. 14-13 the score. The second overtime period with 1:56 remaining. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats, a team that many people were already writing off as recently as 5 weeks ago, could play in the 1984 Grey Cup game.
Bruno's got him on the sidelines right now, Peter Brock, and I know what he's saying to him. He's saying, Peter, there's 1:56 left up there on the clock. If you're just conservative now and you just take your time and run 3 plays, how much time can you run off that clock? And Peter said, well, Coach, I think I can run off just about a little bit over a minute. He said, well, play it safe. If you have to put it up, but don't put it up in danger. And use Bernie. Let Bernie kick that ball down there and make him beat us. Don't beat ourselves.
Well, Dieter Brock was saying before the game, the one thing he has never done in his CFL career is played in the Grey Cup game.
Well, he's 1:56 away from it, and it's in his hands.
There's only a couple things right now that should deter Hamilton at this stage. That would be a fumble or a turnover. They play the way they played all afternoon.
Ooh. Johnny Shepard almost had that ball pulled away from him by James Curry.
Sure did.
1:51 as that play only used up 5 seconds. But now the clock will start as referee Bud Ulrich whistles play in.
Yeah, I look for, if they stop here, I look for the Argos to call timeout.
.13 is the score. The Ticats leading.
What's the holding now?
That was dropped by Earl Wilson. And now I'm sure the Argos are going to call a timeout because there is 1:29 remaining.
You don't want them running 20 seconds off that clock. Because they'll take a delay of the game. Run 20. If they don't call time, they'll run it off and take the delay.
A key play by Earl Wilson, who along with James Curry has been a tower of strength on that defensive line for the Argos.
Well, they didn't call the time.
This is the 21st punt in this ball game for Bernie Ruach.
They're all up there. It looks like they're going to come after it.
And that clock is running.
Now they got the return on.
Got to catch it.
Carinci takes it at the 40. Oh, he gets a good block, but there's a penalty flag. This one will probably come back on a clipping call. pleasure turns to chagrin with that piece of red nylon on the turf.
Flags are down.
Tell you what, it takes a lot of guts to make that call. I don't know where it was, but I didn't like where the flag came from. It came from too far away.
Well, it takes a lot of guts to call it, but it had to be called before Carinci broke out into the open, so the official, I don't know if it took that much guts or not. He just used his eyes and said, well, it was a clip, I got to throw it.
Illegal block. Toronto, number 23 on the run back. First down.
Sterling Hines is the player that they fingered for throwing that illegal block.
57 seconds, they need a point. Let's see, let's go.
From the 43-yard line to Paul Pearson, and Pearson is stopped at the 46 with 51 seconds remaining.
Get him on the line. You don't have time to huddle now, man. Hamilton should be set because they don't want to give him nothing. That's it. Sit on that defense. Let them use that 2-minute offense. They still need about 35, 40 yards to get a reasonable shot at a field goal.
Second and 6. Barnes over the middle. It's incomplete. It was intended for Paul Pearson.
That could have been a ricochet right into the Argonaut hands, too. That bounced the other end of the pass.
Now this could be the ball game. Third down, Toronto. Third and 6, 43 seconds remaining.
Well, you see him try to throw to Pearson. Paul Bennett goes after it, but watch Greg Holmes back there. Almost to him. Well, Joe, this is it.
14-13 the score. Third and 6, Toronto. They are at their own 47-yard line. Incomplete.
Game's over, man.
That will be the ball game.
Well, Don, I said before the game, if they played 5 times, the Argonauts would win 4, but they've lost this one. So one game's done.
Al Bruno breathing a sigh of relief.
And don't you know what Mr. Don
This is a great time for Harold Valley.
Harold is doing sit-ups in his press box right now.
What a job the Ticats did defensively this afternoon. For that matter, what a job the Argonauts did.
Yep.
And Brock drops to a knee and takes the clock down to 35 seconds. But now with 2 opportunities, but the Argos still have a timeout.
It's immaterial now. They have a timeout.
Brock now will be able to take this one down to 15 seconds.
He'll probably take
the Argos could still get the ball back. Brock going back and using up a few additional seconds, taking it down to 10.
Now they call the time.
Now, they're trying to call a timeout, and those are our selections as the Pauling O'Keefe offensive and defensive game stars, Bernie Rua and Felix Wright. Wright with 4 interceptions. And Bernie Rua, 21 punts this afternoon. And they're counting for 8 of those.
Game's over, man.
That will be the ball game.
Well, Don, I said before the game, if they played 5 times, the Argonauts would win 4, but they've lost this one. So one game's done.
Al Bruno breathing a sigh of relief.
And don't you know Mr. Ballard?
This is the great cup of Harold Ballard.
Harold is doing sit-ups in his press box right now.
What a job the Ticats did defensively this afternoon. For that matter, what a job the Argonauts did.
Yep.
And Brock drops to a knee and takes the clock down to 35 seconds. But now with 2 opportunities, but the Argos still have a timeout. It's immaterial now. Brock now will be able to take this one down to 15 seconds.
He'll probably take
the Argos could still get the ball back. Brock going back and using up a few additional seconds, taking it down to 10.
Now they call the time.
Now, they're trying to call a timeout, and those are our selections as the calling O'Keefe offensive and defensive game stars, Bernie Ruoff and Felix Wright. Wright with 4 interceptions. And Bernie Ruoff, 21 punts this afternoon. And they're counting for 8 of those Hamilton points. We've got a timeout with 10 seconds remaining. It's 3rd down, Toronto or Hamilton. The Argos calling the timeout. So now it is incumbent upon the Argonauts to block this punt.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, it's their only chance is to block the punt, recover the ball, and get time for a play and kick a field goal. That's it. And if this ball is kicked by Bernie Ruoff, this game's over.
Well, we're saying this game is over before it was over, though, because there still is the possibility that the Argos couldn't block a punt. And if they block it tough enough, it could be going in the other direction.
That's right.
But they didn't. It's all over.
He's got to run for a touchdown.
Dan Karinsky trying to get out of bounds. He won't do it. Time is run out, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats are the Eastern champions for 1984. The 5th straight win for Al Bruno and company. And they will go to the Grey Cup game Sunday afternoon.
And they're going over there to their fans over the corner of the field. And look at those fans react. And the whole team is going over there to give their fans a little bit of a hello. It looks like they got as many fans over here to Toronto today as they've had over in Hamilton all year.
What disappointment for Bob O'Dillevich. His Toronto Argonauts attempting to repeat as Grey Cup champions at first place in the East. Wrapped up early in the year. And then in the second half of the season, the team struggled. And Al Bruno and his team struggling during the first half saw it come on in the second half. And now they're bound for Edmonton and Grey Cup 84.
It's on to the Grey Cup for the Hamilton Ticats as they win a thriller in overtime, 14-13 as they beat the Argos. What a game.
You talk about emotion, hell of a game. The fans saw something here today. I'm so happy for the coaching staff and the players because we went through so much during the entire year. Up and down, mostly down, but we came back as a team, and I feel so happy for them. And I hope they and family just had a great offseason.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Don Whitman, it was a terrific game.
It was quite a ball game indeed. And Al Bruno has every reason to be proud the way his team came back.
Well, he sure does. And as I said before the game, when these two teams play, throw away the record books, the statistics, everything else, because you never know how it's going to go. And Hamilton, Al Bruno said he's happy for his staff. I'm happy for him. He went through an awful lot this year too, Ron. They came back, they won the thing, and they deserve to go. That's all there is to it. As good as the Argos are, they deserve to go.
There's no doubt about it, Leo. They came back when you had to do it. Can't be a better ending for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, a team, as we said, written off in the midpoint of the season. As a matter of fact, their boss, Harold Ballard, at one point suggested that Ticat fans shouldn't pay to watch the team perform because they were nothing but a bunch of overpaid bums. And now he's been willing to offer them a $1,000 bonus per man if they can beat the Toronto Argonauts. And that's what they did this afternoon. 14-13 to head to Commonwealth Stadium and represent the East in the Grey Cup game against either Winnipeg or BC. Now back to CFL Control and Brian Williams.
All right, Don Whitman, I'm going to have to put up with Harold Ballard's gloating all week long. It is Winnipeg leading BC 10-4 in the second quarter in Vancouver. The Grey Cup coverage on CBC television will begin on Thursday with the Shenley Awards, 8 local, 9 Atlantic, 9:30 in Newfoundland. Ernie Affiganis and Pierre Defoe the hosts. The Grey Cup Parade live Saturday, the Royal Winter Fair from Toronto. I will anchor Sports Weekend from our Grey Cup studios in Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. In fact, I'm going home right now to pack my winter boots and my coat. The thrill of it all, the award-winning show at 1:30 Eastern, building the excitement to the game itself. It has been a long, exciting afternoon. I'm Brian Williams. Good night, everyone, from CBC Sports. We'll talk to you next Sunday, in fact, next Thursday from Edmonton.
CFL 84 has been brought to you by Ford of Canada. At Ford, quality is job one. Driving is believing. By CP Rail, helping Canada move forward. And your local Petro-Canada dealers and agents, putting Canada first. You've been watching CFL 84, the very best in professional football entertainment. And we thank you for joining us. CFL 84 has been a CBC Sports presentation.
This is CBC.